and NFL running back Doug Chapman. I'm Monica McNutt, and we've got Kad Harrington and the Lamar Cardinals looking to get their first win in the 2016 season against Tom Herman and his 6th-ranked Houston Cougars.
Yeah, the Cougars flying high after upsetting Oklahoma, and Lamar looking to rebound after going down to Coastal Carolina at home. I'm looking forward to a good one.
It should be. So I mentioned Tom Herman as the head coach, but the guy that we really got to be talking about, Doug, is that young man right there, quarterback Greg Ward Jr.
Yeah, there he goes, one of the most dangerous men in college football. The electrifying quarterback is the spark plug of this offense that can hurt you both running and throwing the rock. Go back, watch that tape of the Oklahoma game, and you'll see he did most of his damage in the pocket. I believe he finished with about 1 yard rushing, Monica. His maturity as a passer is going to be huge for them for the remainder of this season.
All right, so we got Greg Ward, who brings the arm, a fantastic arm indeed. But for the Cardinals, on the flip side, Kad Harrington, and this kid has got a set of legs on him.
Yeah, between the tackles, style of runner, can get to the eggs, can be used in the passing game, and they line him up at Wildcat. He paces that offense, and if he can get on track getting 4 or 5 yards per pop early, he'll frustrate this Houston defense. Matter of fact, Monica, let's hear from some of the coaches around the Southland that have the daunting task of stopping Kad Harrington.
I'd be going to my offense coordinator and begging him to run the football and keep him off the field, number one.
I used to hear people talk about when they played Michael Jordan. You realize that maybe he was going to get his, but you couldn't let Scottie Pippen kill you, and you couldn't let Steve Kerr kill you, whatever. And that may be the way it is a little bit with Kad, because that young man is unbelievable, with his hands on the football.
He's special. He's fun to watch play if you're not coaching, So I enjoyed watching him play against other people, not against my own team.
Man, I don't think he can stop him. I am a Kad Harrington fan, and I think he is the best player in the country. He proved that. He's going to run over you. He's going to run around you. He is all as advertised, and what you got to try to limit his big plays.
All right, so really quickly, Doug, as we wrap this thing up, a quick key to this game.
It's very simple. Houston's bigger, faster, stronger. Let's see how they start. If they start slow, it could be a problem. Kad Harrington, get him up and running. Put him out in space. Trick plays. Let him play Wildcat. Hand it to him inside, outside. Kad Harrington, get about 25, 35 touches. Give him a chance in this football game.
All right, we got a little bit more time than I expected. What does Lamar need to do about Ward, though?
They've got to contain him. Like they talked about Kad Harrington in the piece, you can't stop him. You got to contain him. Don't let him get out the pocket, use that speed on the edge, and watch the deep ball. He can hit you. You saw what he did to Oklahoma. Hit him for about 14, 15 yards per pass. Take care of chunk plays because Ward can hurt you.
All right, good stuff there. With that said, let's get you out to Houston, where Brett Dolan and Indy Kalu have the call.
From TDECU Stadium on the campus of the University of Houston, it is the 6th-ranked Houston Cougars, fresh off a win over Oklahoma against the Cardinals from Lamar out of the Southland Conference. And welcome to our broadcast location with former Rice star Indy Kalu. I'm Brett Dolan. Thanks for joining us. Indy, you have lived in this city for a long time. I can't remember a level of interest in college football like we've experienced in this past week in decades.
Well, that's what happens when you have back-to-back victories over top 10 teams. The entire city gets behind the Cougs. Even the crosstown rivals, they're rooting for the Cougars today.
Now, there is no Greg Ward Jr., the Heisman hopeful, the quarterback for the Houston Cougars, but they certainly have their share of offensive weapons.
No, there's talent all across the board on this team. Look at this big receiver, Stephen Dunbar, 6'3", 210 pounds, great body control. And check this out, with that size, he still has the speed to separate himself from the cornerbacks. And what I like about the offense is the workhorse that you have in the backfield in Catalan. Not only does he carry the ball, he can also receive out of the backfield. Last week, 4 catches for 30 yards and that touchdown that you saw. And I love this play by Wilson. It just goes to show the athleticism on the U of H roster, taking this missed field goal over 110 yards back to Peyton.
All part of a 10-point win against Oklahoma, but today it's Kyle Postma making the start. One start last year. It was at UConn in the game that the Cougars lost. Now, speaking of weapons for Lamar, they might have the best running back in the Southland Conference in Kad Harrington.
Not might. They have the best running back in Kad Harrington. I talked about all the talent on University of Houston's roster. Well, this guy, Kad Harrington, he can play with any school in the big Division I programs.
Great speed for Kad Harrington. Last week against Coastal Carolina, he broke off 2 huge runs.
And you talk about what coaches can't coach, speed. And Harrington, he definitely has that speed. We've seen it for years now, and he's going to continue to make plays, even tonight against the number 6 team in the country.
Let's introduce you to the 3rd member of our broadcast crew. He's standing by with Houston head coach Tom Herman. It's Ankil Bhatta.
Coach, what was behind the decision to sit Ward for today's game?
Well, he's not 100%. He's really good. He's improving.
But at 80-90% even right now, it's not worth the risk with a short week next week.
Cal Postma making his second career start. What do you expect to see out of him?
Just manage the game. He's got a lot of good players around him. He's got good skill guys. He's got good O-line, and he's got a great defense. So just manage the game.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
So there you heard it from the coach, Tom Herman. No Greg Ward Jr. today after his explosive game against the Oklahoma Sooners. So it will be the Kyle Postma show, and certainly, Andy, that creates some changes for the Cougs. Postma doesn't maybe bring quite the elusiveness as a Greg Ward Jr., but we know Tom Herman will have this team ready to play because he is such an intense competitor. Here's what he said about Oklahoma. We were prepared to win, we expected to win, we trained to win, and it wasn't about making a statement.
No, absolutely, and you talk about the depth. Even if Greg Ward Jr. goes out, they still expect to win.
This was the locker room scene at NRG Stadium after the win against Oklahoma. You see Tom Herman with the Texas flag talking to his team. They led the celebration singing the fight song, and it was a huge victory for this Cougars program that elevated them to number 6 in the nation. It is the highest ranking for the University of Houston since November of 1990, and the fans have responded. This is the home opener at TDECU Stadium, if you count last week as a neutral site game at NRG.
It was definitely a neutral site, even though it was in the great state of Texas. But to be at home, to be a stone's throw away from the campus, University of Houston, the players, this is what they want. And let's not overlook Lamar. You know, you and I have had a chance to cover Lamar, and they have firepower in Kad Harrington. And we all remember in 2010 when James Madison beat Virginia Tech, and in 2007, I believe, Appalachian State beating Michigan. So upsets do happen, and I know Tom Herman has been preaching that to his team
all week long, even though they have a huge game next Thursday at Cincinnati. There's Coach Ray Woodard of the Lamar Cardinals, his 7th season. Last year they knocked off Sam Houston State in conference play, gave Baylor a tussle in the first half in a contest in Waco. He'd love to test his team here today against these Houston Cougars.
And like you mentioned, you just feel the excitement in the air. University of Houston, the H-Town takeover, they've nicknamed it, is definitely resonating throughout the entire town.
Ty Cummings with the kickoff, and the Cardinals and Rodney Randall Jr. will have the football first. Big hole for Randall, and he's drilled at about the 30-yard line, and that's where Lamar will begin first.
You talk about the big holes. It's a nice job by the kick return team blocking in the entire board across for the Lamar Cardinals, doing a good job blocking and giving him those holes to run through.
A Lamar team last week that led 14-3 in the first half against Coastal Carolina before they lost 38-14. Their quarterback is Carson Earp, and yes, he is related to Wyatt Earp. So if there's one quarterback in the country who can claim to be a gunslinger, a real gunslinger, it is Carson Earp.
Wow, that's some great relations right there, Wyatt Earp. And I was just about to mention what a great name that is for a college quarterback, Carson Earp. So when you look down his lineage, yes, it'll be surprising if he's not a gunslinger out there.
Straight out of the OK Corral, you see one of the Cougars dinged up a bit on that opening kickoff. Cameron Dubmeyer. So Kad Harrington to the right of Carson Earp, 81 yards shy of 4,000 in his career, and turned what could have been a negative play into nearly a first down rush.
And I talked about it when I talk about you can't coach speed, and Kad Harrington knowing exactly how to use his speed. He was patient on that play. He was waiting for a hole to develop. It didn't develop, so he just turned it on to another gear to get to the sideline and get upfield and pick up 9 yards with what could have been a tackle for a loss.
He's a Kingwood, Texas native, so playing back here in the greater Houston area, he had one scholarship offer, Lamar. He could go over 4,000 career yards today. Earp to throw. Harrington pretty good out of the backfield, but that pass nearly went behind the line of scrimmage, but called incomplete, bringing up 3rd and 1.
And coaches will tell the skill position players, the receivers, the running backs, if you can touch the ball, you should be able to catch it. But in a play with that play, Carson has to do a better job putting it in front of Harrington so he doesn't have to reach back for it.
See the numbers for Harrington. You wouldn't blame Earp looking across that Houston line that thumped the Oklahoma Sooners last week and being just a little bit nervous. Harrington will carry it. He's going backwards. Tyus Bowser there to wrap him up and throw him down for a loss.
And that's big. He did not give Harrington any chance to make a move. He didn't give him a chance to get to a hole and turn on his speed. You see right there, as soon as he receives the ball from Carson Erb, there is not anywhere to run.
Stephen Dunbar back to return the punt for the University of Houston. Juan Caranco averaged 37 yards a kick last week at 8 punts against Coastal Carolina. Cougars not afraid to make a few plays in special teams, but a fair catch called by Dunbar just across the 30, and now this Cougars offense will be on the field for the first time again without Greg Ward Jr. Suffered a shoulder injury in the game against Oklahoma, had a platelet injection this week, and the recovery didn't come as fast as he wanted it to, so Kyle Postma out of Katy, Texas, and Seven Lakes High School will get the start, and there's his numbers last season.
And I'll tell you what, even though the Lamar defense, they breathe a sigh of relief knowing that the Heisman hopeful won't be playing in the game, but an entire week you're preparing for one quarterback, then you see a different one, you're going to have to make changes on the sideline, and you'll see them do it throughout the game.
Duke Catalon is the running back. He was the only guy to get carries last week. In fact, that is Kevrin Justice with the carry. Let's go downstairs and check in with AB.
Hey guys, so Kyle Postma starting today's game. You know, we've seen him start last year. He started one game for the Cougars, but however, we also saw him play wide receiver last season during practices last year. We saw him kick some punts. He's a very versatile player. We heard Coach Herman say that he can do great things. He's a good passer, so Cougars are expecting to see nothing but good football from him today.
There's Linell Bonner on the reception from Postma.
When we talk about receivers, it's not just about catching the ball and how fast you can run. It's also about finding the soft spot of the defense, and Linell Bonner does a nice job of finding the soft spot of that zone backfield.
21 yards. Cougars so effective through the air on third down last week against Oklahoma. They're in Lamar territory. It is Justice rather than Catalon for a couple of yards. Catalon played 77 of the 80 snaps last week. In depth at that backup tailback position was a concern, so it's interesting to see Justice getting the start this afternoon.
And not only that, you also realize that they played a tough game against Oklahoma, and though coaches aren't overlooking Lamar, they are weary that they know they play in 5 days against another conference foe on Thursday night.
Huge game, a gain of 6, though, for Justice. Back to Ankiel's thoughts on Postma. You're right, there was a guy that was a wide receiver last year. He quarterbacked a huge comeback against Memphis and Paxton Lynch in this building. Justice. Nope, it's Postma. He's loose down the boundary and into the end zone from 39 yards out, and the Cougars start the scoring.
I don't know if that was a trick play or just redirection, but they fooled me because I was watching Justice the entire time, only to be fooled and see just a nice fake to the running back Justice. They even faked out the defensive players, and Kyle Postma does a nice job hiding the handoff, keeping the ball, and turning on the afterburner.
Well, Tom Herman's words to us yesterday, echoing in my ears. Postma's an awkward runner, but guys can't tackle him. Great run to cap the scoring drive, and there's Ty Cummings. He has never missed an extra point or a field goal in his career. Sophomore out of South Lake Carroll. He'll pump one right through and good, completing a 4-play, 70-yard scoring drive, and the Cougars strike first. So no Greg Ward Jr. ND. Kyle Postma says no worries today.
Well, AB told us Kyle Postma, versatile athlete, and you see it there. Doesn't look like an awkward runner there. He looks like a good runner right there.
Down Houston on a hot, humid Saturday, September morning. We're inside TDECU Stadium, and here ND is the great play fake by Kyle Postma and the acceleration once he got through this hole.
And nice job. What you said is absolutely right, the play fake. The reason why this play is successful is because Kyle Postma does such a nice job faking the handoff. The front line of the defense, they all focus on Justice, which leaves a nice running lane. And once Kyle Postma gets that speed ahead of him, you're not going to catch him. And this is what I like to see, Brent. When you have a team, University of Houston, ranked number 6 in the country, and they're playing a team from a different conference, from a lower conference, they're still excited about making big plays. They're not taking the Lamar Cardinals for granted.
There's Rodney Randall back to return. Ty Cummings. Should give Randall a chance to bring one out. He'll take a knee instead. Head coach for these Lamar Cardinals is Ray Woodard. Played for the University of Texas back in 1982 and 1983, and there's a young Ray Woodard.
You know what? That goes a long way. When he's telling his defensive linemen or any of his players, when he's talking to them about how it's supposed to be done, and he breaks out that picture in his offense, he's letting them know, I'm not just coaching it, I lived it as well.
Hey, that 1983 team, they were 11-1, 8-0 in the Southwest Conference. They defeated the Cougars 9-3 at the Astrodome, and their only loss came to Georgia by a point in the Cotton Bowl. And he is the only former Longhorn player that's currently a head coach in college football.
He may be the only doctor in Southwest Conference.
Earp, no place to go, and he's taken down by a host of Cougars. And it's Bowser again. He had the big play on third down that denied Lamar in the previous drive.
Bowser already credited with 2 tackle for losses, 1 against the running back and a sack here. Just beating the double team, coming inside of the offensive tackle and not letting the guard put any push on him. He's able to get to the quarterback very quickly.
If you tuned in, wanted to see a playmaker from Tyler, Texas, you're getting one. It's just Bowser, not War. There's Harrington. So hard to locate a guy of his stature as he picks his way up to about the 24.
And when you talk about his stature, you're going to be fooled. You know, he's a smaller running back, and I told you he doesn't have deceptive speed. He has real speed, but he does have that deceptive strength. When you see his stature, you think he'll go down easily, but he keeps those legs going, and he never gives up on a play. That's part of the reason why he's on his way to 4,000 career yards.
He stepped out on 3rd and 10. Zay Giles will be in a 4-receiver formation in an empty backfield for the senior quarterback Carson Earp, working with an all-new receiving core this year. And his pass was too hot for Giles. He had him with the step, and it's 4th down.
You're absolutely right. He did have the defender with the step. The ball was not where it needed to be, and those are the passes that Carson Earp and the Lamar Cardinals are going to have to complete if they want to hang with this U of H team.
So another chance for Stephen Dunbar to return a punt from Juan Caranco. This Cougars team, as far as special teams, they have had 19 special teams touchdowns over the last 4 seasons. So there's no give when you punt the football or kick off to the Cougs. Nearly a block, no flag, and good field position for Houston. Football touched at the 44. We'll step out. Cougars lead the Cardinals 7-0 in Houston. Lead the Lamar Cardinals 7-0 in Houston. If you want the best stories about your teams, your conferences, then make sure you bookmark and come back every day to AmericanSportsNet.com, your home for storytelling about your team. Andy Kalu and Brett Dolan, Ankiel Banta here in Houston. Cougars scored on their opening drive with their backup quarterback Kyle Postma, Katy, Texas native, Seven Lakes High School. Looks like Kevrin Justice rather than Catalan again in there. So the backup running back and the backup quarterback. Big gainer down the boundary. Mulba Carr on the run. And the freshman out of Austin rumbles off 38 yards.
And I'll tell you what, when you see multiple running backs get positive yards like that, yes, you give credit because they're talented runners, but the big guys up front are creating some big holes.
Brendan Langley on the tackle. Shorter run this time for the Cougars, who last week ran for 124 yards against Oklahoma, had more than 300 through the year.
You see this quick tempo, up-tempo offense, which is really hard to defend. Doesn't give the defense time to get situated, to talk to each other about different audibles and different checkdowns. But once they do get to the line, the University of Houston, then they take their time figuring out what play they're going to run next.
Pistol formation with Postma and Carr. Carr bounced off the first wave of tacklers, but not the seconds, as he was dropped by Cameron Hampton, sophomore out of Dallas.
2 nice plays by the Lamar Cardinal defensive line, getting pushed and not allowing the big guys up front for University of Houston to change the line of scrimmage, and that's why the defense for Lamar has success those last 2 plays.
Tyler McCloskey, the tight end, in the slot here to the left. Postma looking, Steps up into the pocket. Now he has to scramble. The pass was caught but out of bounds by Bonner. Linell Bonner looked like he was open for just a second, Indy.
He was open for a second, but the problem was there was so much pressure on Kyle Postma, he was not able to deliver the ball. We can't see it on this replay, but when you talk about a nice edge rush by Lamar, they were able to get a good bull rush against the left tackle, and that is why Kyle Postma could not get comfortable on that play.
A 31-yard try from Ty Cummings. He was 4 of 4 last week against the Sooners. His kick, that is the first he's ever missed in college. Doink off the upright and no good. So the Cougars come up empty. We'll step out. 9:02 to play in our first quarter. It remains 7-0 Houston. Times, well, they are a-changing around the U of H, and for more on that, let's check in with Keel.
Hey, thanks, guys. They are changing for sure. Last year, obviously it was a brand new program. Coach Herman bringing in a brand new staff for U of H. You can hear it here. The energy, it's just electrifying. And when I spoke to coaches last year, they told me they were excited to be part of Coach Herman's program. When we talk to them now, they have such high levels of expectations for them and their team. They're going to go great if they continue this.
It's been quite a ride for Tom Herman after the Peachful victory last season and then starting the year eliminating Oklahoma. And there's Kad Harrington back in the game, but finding running room. Tough to come by. Matthew Adams and Ed Oliver there on the stop.
Speaking of Ed Oliver, it was just a matter of time before we called his name. 5-star recruit, only 18 years old, playing the defensive tackle position, and he plays the game the way it's supposed to be played, sideline to sideline, never giving up on a play. I actually brought my son, a young 11-year-old defensive tackle, to this game just to watch Ed Oliver, and he's a beast.
I don't blame you at all. And by the way, Andrew Allen, a backup quarterback, is in for the Lamar Cardinals. Harrington running for his life and unable to get loose. It was Stephen Taylor, one of the leading tacklers in the American Conference last year with that play. No tackle for a loss, but no gain either.
And again, I was talking about Ed Oliver, just his effect on that play. No, he's not going to get credit for the tackle, but the reason why Harrington had to take a step back and try to go towards the sideline is because of the pressure of Ed Oliver.
I like what Todd Orlando, the defensive coordinator, said about Ed Oliver. He said everybody wants to be around those special star players.
And that's what he is.
3rd and 11 for Lamar. They could use a first down to stay on the field. Andrew Allen took a shot as he delivered a high pass out of the reach of his intended target, DeWan Thompson, on the boundary. 4th down again for Lamar. 6 total yards for the Cardinals in 3 drives. And remember, their very first play from scrimmage was a 9-yard run by Harrington.
Right, when you saw that first play, you thought, you know what, maybe they could get that momentum, get some confidence, and move the ball down the field. But as of right now, that defensive line, that front 7 for the University of Houston Cougars, they're dominating the offensive line of Lamar.
2 short punts from Juan Carranco, and he stands back inside his 5-yard line. Cougars coming after him. Another short kick that'll head out of bounds, and we'll see if this is in Cougar territory. Spotted just shy of midfield. 33-yard punt.
Early on in this game, where U of H has been successful, it's not just about points. It's also about possession, and it's also about placement on the field. And as of right now, Lamar has not been able to flip the field, so U of H always has the ball with good field position.
Hey, who was your game changer in the FCS this past week? You can vote for the ASN Player of the Week beginning every Monday at 9 a.m. It's the only fan-voted Player of the Week award exclusively at AmericanSportsNet.com. Cougars start from their 49-yard line. Little pitch and a flip, but a chance for the Lamar defense to be active.
And you'll see players. Watch number 41, Delshawn Rushing, who's from the Houston area for Lamar. Look at the big hit he delivers on the ball carrier right there. True freshman. I actually had a chance to watch him play last year in high school. This is the guy that's going to make plays for Lamar for the next 3 years.
De'Aaron King, a 4-star recruit out of Manville here in the Houston area. Got a hard 1 yard on that play to take it up to midfield. King, the man in motion again. He's going to get the screen pass. Caught it with one hand, and then he was wrapped up and thrown down by Brendan Langley. What an open field tackle by the corner.
What a nice athletic move. And we're talking about 2 back-to-back very, very good plays by Lamar's defense. And like you said, he just saved his team about 5 yards with that play. Lamar's defense, they're starting to feel it. They're starting to get a little excited.
No Duke Catalan yet. No Greg Ward today. And Lamar trying to force a punt from the Cougars. 3rd and long here, 3rd and 11. See if the Cougars get Stephen Dunbar involved. Dunbar running down the left seam. And the pass thrown underneath and complete to Chance Allen, the Oregon transfer, for 24 yards.
Nice job by the big guys up front. They're giving the quarterback enough time and a nice pocket. He was very comfortable in that pocket, and you notice Kyle Postma did not have to move east and west before he released the ball. He was very comfortable. When you're that comfortable and you have that much time, you're going to put the ball where it needs to be.
Allen had just 1 catch last week against the Sooners, but a big catch to take it inside the Lamar 30. Kevrin Justice to the right of Kyle Postma. Football is loose and kicked forward, and Postma able to fall on it and actually gain a couple of yards on 1st down.
And these are very difficult when you have that option, because this is an option play. You have the option to give the ball to the tailback, or you have the option to pull it out if you see something. And right there, they weren't on the same page. I'm surprised that doesn't happen more often across the land in college football when you have those options.
Well, I would agree. Those late play fakes, pulling that football back out of the running back's gut. But he gained 4 yards on the play. Another short rushing play this time from Kevrin Justice. Let's go back to that pass play on 3rd down that got Chance Allen down the left seam, and Postma hit him in stride.
And like we mentioned, they gave him a comfortable pocket, but you see the route running and the ball in between 2 defenders right where it needed to be, not looking like a backup quarterback, Kyle Postma.
3rd and 4 for the Cougars. Scored a touchdown on their opening drive. Postma going to take off. Shiftiness, and he's down to the 10-yard line. It's dropped by Matt Johnson, who saved a touchdown.
And this is very tough for defensive players, especially defensive linemen. When you do a good job getting pressure and you think you're going to get the sack, and the quarterback is athletic enough to pull the ball down and pick up the 1st down.
Postman's going to keep, and tackled from behind before he could get loose. Looked like he had a step, but Bethany there to wrap him up. 8 tackles last week for the Burton, Texas native. The Cougars going quick now.
That's what Xavier Bethany does. He led the team in tackles last year with 87 tackles.
Kevrin Justice denied the end zone, and Bethany hit him again. Boy, Andy, it's tough for the defense here with the way the Cougars go with this tempo, this pace.
It's tough for anybody to defend. You see right there, a couple of the defenders did not even get down in their 3-point stance.
Lamar, though, up for the challenge, denying the Cougars the end zone again. Kevrin Justice couldn't find it.
And it starts with Delshawn rushing again, a true freshman from the Houston area, making plays early on in the season and early on in the game for Lamar's defense.
10th play of the drive, 4th and goal. Postma to throw in the back of the end zone. There was contact, and it's incomplete, intended for Allen. And Lamar's defense able to get off the field.
Small victory for the Lamar defense. That University of Houston make big plays to get down the field, but when it's all said and done, they do not get into the end zone because your defensive linebackers did not give up on this drive.
Tom Herman says, I hate field goals. And last week he settled for 4. His kicker missed on the previous drive, so they went for it, and they don't get points this time either.
No, coaches, they want 6. When you're that close, they want 6.
Play. It'll be a minimum of a 20-minute suspension.
Wow.
The teams are requested to return to their locker room.
It's hot and humid, and there's some clouds overhead. Apparently, there is some lightning in the area. Our referee, Rick LeMay, made the announcement that the teams will be sent to their locker room for a lightning delay for a minimum of 20 minutes.
And obviously fans are disappointed, players are disappointed, but I credit the decision makers. They're not just trying to keep the players safe, they're trying to keep everybody involved, everyone in the stands safe as they see lightning less than 8 miles away.
So the Cougars, who scored on their opening drive, again without Greg Ward Jr., Kyle Postma had the touchdown run, haven't been able to add to that lead since. We have 3:13 to remain in our first quarter when this lightning delay occurs here at TDECU Stadium on the campus of the University of Houston. So in September, you never know in Houston with the humidity and the storms and the possibility of some delays, but the students who are out early today packing this facility, a little bit disappointed they'll have to have a hiatus.
And I'll tell you what, the challenge here for both coaching staffs is to keep their guys loose and to keep them mentally in it. When you're talking about a minimum of a 20-minute delay to keep your guys into it, that's going to be the challenge. At the same time, you don't want them all on the stationary bikes. You don't want them all moving around because it'll start to wear on their body. So both of these coaches, they have a challenge over the next 20 minutes, keeping their guys in it without overdoing it. Such
creatures of habit, and this disrupts the routine and the habit as even some of the fans head towards the concourse. Hard for me to see where the lightning is in the area, but obviously there are people dedicated to watching for just that situation.
Yes, I didn't see it either, but I do know that they have, at least back when I played, back in my day, which was over 8 years ago now, they have these devices where they can tell exactly how close lightning. And a nice stadium, great facilities like this, I believe they have that same device. But like you didn't see it, I didn't see it as well.
Let's let our affiliates know that we're going to head to alternate programming. We'll come back when we know more. Houston leading Lamar in Houston 7-0. There he started the first couple of series, looked jittery. Andrew Allen replaced him, but Earp back as the quarterback. Kad Harrington to his left, and Harrington will carry. And runs into Bauer. We've seen him already be an important aspect of this Cougars defense. Tyus Bowser.
The defensive front for the University of Houston just doing a good job establishing the line of scrimmage. They're not getting any pushback. If anything, they're starting to play in the backfield of Lamar's offense.
So Lamar's just trying to get out of the shadow of their end zone. Another run from Harrington. You see him just swallowed up. That is the 5'9" senior from Kingwood, Texas. Ran into the arms of Gerard Carter, another Houston native.
5'9" senior, Kad Harrington, and you wonder if he truly is 5'9", but I'll tell you what, his effort and his heart is that of someone 7 feet tall, because this is a guy that has rewritten the record books of the Southland Conference.
Tough situation here, though, for the Cardinals in a passing down. Cougars really love to blitz in general, oftentimes run blitzes. If they happen to get to the quarterback, they say, so be it. And Harrington will run here, and he's going to lose yardage. Dropped again. It was Ed Oliver, the 5-star recruit and the true freshman, with the stop.
And time again, we'll talk about Ed Oliver and his quickness. Sometimes it's better to be quick than fast, and his awareness of the ball. As he was trying to fight to get to the off-A gap, he understood where he was, where the blocker was, and just decided to go back door and still made the tackle for a loss.
Todd Orlando talking about the young man's vision. He felt like a lot of kids can be explosive, but they don't always see the football or make the plays. He anticipated. He saw that play take place.
And it's not just about seeing with your eyes. It's a feel. You hear the term nose for the football. That's definitely what Ed Oliver has, among other characteristics that make him so great.
Another short punt from Karanko, returned a couple of yards by Dunbar. Great field position for the Cougars. They're at the Lamar 36. 39-yard punt, 6-yard return. This Cougar fan saw Kyle Postma score the touchdown run in their very first drive, but since Houston has missed a field goal, went for it at the 3-yard line. So now Postma back out there. He is making his second start. He lost at UConn last year, but he had a huge game against Memphis, rallying his team to a win when Greg Ward Jr. got hurt last season. But no Duke Catalan so far. So Kevrin Justice is into the game. He has a hole. He has a seam, and Justice dragging tacklers down to about the 5-yard line.
You talk about that hole. It's been like this all day. They've been able to move the ball in between the guards and the center, doing a nice job creating those holes for all the multiple running backs that have been on the field.
30-yard run for Justice, trying to pick another hole off the right side of the line. He'll get a couple of yards closer to the goal line. Let's go back to the previous play from the redshirt freshman from Kilgore.
And you see right there the combo block with the center and the guard creating that hole, and he does a nice job hitting that hole. Sometimes you have to be patient, other times you hit it quickly.
Justice fighting closer to that goal line, but down about a yard shy. You see the Cougars so quick. They're up to that line, ready to snap again. Justice one more time, up, over, and in for the Houston touchdown.
And that's sending a message right there to have so many plays in between the guards. They call that smash mouth football. They're saying our willpower is stronger than yours, and we're just going to ram it down your throat. Not only are you getting 6 points on the board, you're sending Lamar a message.
Take one more look. It took a long time to land.
It took a long time, but credit those big boys up front. Josh Jones, Mason Benelli, Will Noble, Mac Long, Natai Rogers, all those guys doing a very nice job blocking for their running backs.
Ty Cummings will have the extra point. 4-play, 36-yard drive in 53 seconds. It was set up by a big run early of 30 yards by Kevrin Justice. Just a gaping hole.
Just a gaping hole, and you wonder if they come out mentally ready. And again, I cannot say enough positive things about the University of Houston coaching staff, just being able to keep their guys into it. It's only natural. You mentioned 3 hours and 36 minutes delay, and for them to come out looking like the game just started, good for them.
So Lamar will get the football back, but in need of something positive offensively. And the Cougars up 14-0 early. Tom Herman, in just his second season at the University of Houston, 14-1. So they're thrilled to be off to a great start here in 2016. They've got that game looming next Thursday against Cincinnati, which is a conference game. So not a lot of break between playing Oklahoma, then playing Lamar in week 2 and jumping into conference action.
And credit to the University of Houston decision makers, fan base, alumni. Before Tom Herman came, they were 8-5 2 years in a row, which most programs would consider, hey, that's good, but it wasn't good enough for them. They wanted to get to that next level, and they've gotten there.
Rodney Randall Jr. trying to get outside. And he will be smothered on the sideline by Colin Wilder. Let's check in with AV. He's got an injury report for us.
Hey guys, I was just standing there by the U of H sideline watching Greg Ward. Obviously, he did not start this game. However, he's being very active on the sidelines, talking with his receivers, talking with all the other players, and just being as involved as possible.
Maybe that's a good point, because Tom Herman has said he's a very humble young man, but sometimes that can be a fault. He really challenged Ward over the last year plus to be a more vocal leader.
Especially at the quarterback position, you appreciate the guys that lead by example. I played with one in Andre Johnson, but when you're the quarterback, you need to lead by example and be vocal as well.
Harrington able to bounce off the first wave of tacklers, and that's the first down for Lamar, any 11-yard run.
And I'll tell you what, before that, Harrington had 8 carries for 11 yards, coming off a game where he had 28 carries for 207 yards, 2 touchdowns last week. I expect to see more plays like that from Kad Harrington, regardless of who the competition is.
Ran over Brandon Wilson in that second level, so the Cougars have a little bit of room with which to work. And now we'll reach the end of our first quarter. That's it? That's the end of the quarter?
It's only been about 4 hours, and we got through quarter number 1.
Houston Cougars with a couple of touchdowns here in our first quarter. We'll step out. Lamar with the football when you come back. Been a long day so far. Cougar fans having some fun. Their team up 14-0 over the Cardinals.
Attention, catheter patient.
First time since 1983. It's a 14-0 Cougar lead as we switch sides and start the second quarter. Kad Harrington right into the arms of Stephen Taylor, a very active linebacker, a senior out of Cedar Hill, Texas.
And even with the shiftiness and speed and quickness of Kad Harrington there, it looked like a hole did open up, but he didn't have room because of the gap integrity of the front four for University of Houston. They play disciplined ball. Even though they get after it, they get up the field, but they stay where they're supposed to stay, and they don't give too many running lanes.
It is a defense designed to stop the run against a team that had most of their success last week in Lamar on the ground. Harrington again, and very little running room on the boundary. And Adams dropped him last year, nearly 50 tackles for the Missouri City kid.
And Lamar's offense has to get in a situation where they're not only passing on passing downs. When you get to where you're at now, 3rd and 10, 3rd and long, 2nd and long, and it's an obvious passing down, it makes it too easy for the defense. They are, though, it's a tough, great pass rushing up front for University of Houston. They're going to have to start throwing the ball on 1st and 2nd down just to keep them honest.
Lamar offensive coordinator Chuck Langston said we need to throw and catch the ball better. Haven't been able to do that yet. Definite passing down here, and the first down completion into the arms of DeWan Thompson. A gain of 14, and it moves the sticks for Lamar.
You talk about the minor victories for Lamar. That's a victory there. In this series alone, you had a nice run from Kad Harrington, then Carson Earp able to get that completion. Those are the type of plays that they need moving forward.
All new receiving core for the Cardinals as they try to get these guys involved. There's Harrington again, and he cut his losses as he was dropped by Brandon Wilson, who plays that nickel back position. So very busy last week with 10 tackles, and it feels like he's always around the football.
All right, and you talk about Lamar and their wide receivers being a young group. This is the youngest, the most inexperienced group of receivers they've had since the program returned. And they lost the all-time leading receiver, Reggie Beggleton, from last year. So, yes, a bunch of young receivers for Lamar.
Beggleton at 56 catches, no longer available. Looked like an exchange problem right there, and Harrington paid the price. Matthew Adams came through nearly untouched.
I don't know if that was an exchange problem or an Adams problem, because even if the exchange was clean, he got there so quickly he was going to make that tackle for a loss, and he gets there with an attitude. That's one thing I really like about University of Houston. They don't just tackle people, they hit people. They do it whistle to whistle, and they bring an attitude with every hit.
They make it hurt. So another 3rd and long, 3rd and 11. Lamar didn't want to get behind the chain, so to speak. Earp on a rollout, and that pass sails wide of the target out of bounds. 4th down.
They had some nice plays. Lamar had some nice plays on that drive. We talked about the big carry, the first down carry for Kad Harrington. They had a couple of completions, so they have something that they can work with.
Dunbar back. Return another punt from Juan Caranco. Dunbar stands at his 15. Cougars specialize in some big special teams play, but this is a tremendous kick near the boundary. And it'll be down inside the 10. We'll step out. 12:09 to play in our second quarter. Cougars lead the Cardinals 14-0.
If you are age 85.
Saturday's football lineup on ASN kicks off with Middle Tennessee battling Bowling Green at noon Eastern Time, followed by Florida International at UMass, and Navy faces Tulane next Saturday beginning at noon Eastern Time on ASN. Thanks to all the fans that have stuck around with us after nearly a 3-hour, 40-minute lightning delay. We're in the second quarter. Cougars and Kyle Postma looking for the deep ball. Down the boundary, Isaiah Johnson was there, but it was deflected and knocked away by Rodney Randall Jr.
Nice positioning by Rodney Randall, but when you talk about playing a team, the 6th ranked team in the country, those are the plays that you turn PBUs into interceptions. But again, Rodney Randall doing a nice job keeping up with the receiver and playing the ball, because when you throw the ball down the field, two things can happen that's bad for the defense. A penalty, which he didn't get called for anything there, and obviously a completion, but he did a nice job playing the ball.
There's Mo Bakar, the true freshman. Rumbles up to about the 25-yard line. A Reagan High School product out of Austin gains 16.
And once again, just eating up yards through the ground. Look at that gaping hole. And the hole closed up, but this is where you talk about good vision for a running back. The hole was there, it closed up. He didn't just ram into the pile. Then he stepped out, used his speed to get to the sideline and get upfield.
Xavier Bethany there to make the tackle. Mulbacar, though, a true freshman, his head's kind of spinning, so some valuable experience today. Postma wants another deep ball, but he was hit as that ball was cut loose, and it is not picked. Ball hit the carpet. Brendan Langley tried to sell the INT.
And initially, Kyle Postma had time to throw that ball, but you see the pass fall short, and it definitely is not an interception, though a very good effort. He had time, but then at the last second, they broke through, and they're able to hit him as he delivered the ball.
Postma last year threw 68 passes when he was relieving Ward. He completed about 63%. Still trying to get on track through the air in this game. But he said some big running plays that have helped. Not this time, though, as Carr is chopped down after a short gain. Tanner Kahneman there on the stop, the linebacker out of Dallas.
And they're still sticking with that up-tempo offense, getting back to the line of scrimmage as soon as possible, getting the play, and starting out before the Lamar defense can really get settled in their pre-snap position.
Well, they do like to go fast. Cougars 3 of 5 on third downs. 4 receivers in the formation. Postman's going to take off, looking to the sideline. He's got the first down and much more. He's not even going to step out. Stays in bounds inside the 20. And it looks like an official way back at the 43 is going to mark Postma out of bounds. He kept running as if he thought he had a chance to score, but marked out at the 43.
And most quarterbacks, once they pick up the positive yards on a broken down play, they step out of bounds. But Kyle Postma wants to get as much as he can, and he goes and shows his athleticism. We talked about his versatility early on in the game. This is a guy that can also get it done with his legs, but it's obviously overshadowed by what the Heisman hopeful Greg Ward Jr. can do.
28-yard run officially for Postma. As Coach Tom Herman said, he's kind of an awkward runner in the sense that guys can't tackle him. There's a Lamar player down. We'll step out. Cougars on the move, leading Lamar 14-0.
By 2050, we'll need twice the food from the same acreage to feed the world. That's going to take serious innovation.
The Cougars lead Lamar 14-0 in the second quarter. For all of your social media action, follow us at Live on ASN. Kyle Postma had a long run before we went to break. You can see where he stepped out right there, 43.
Still a very impressive effort and run by Kyle Postma, getting around the corner, breaking containment, and outrunning guys on paper, cornerbacks who should be faster than a quarterback. So just a great job athletically by Postma.
And a nice block downfield from Chance Allen. The one thing about their receivers, Indy, Allen is 6'3", Dunbar 6'3", Bonner 6 foot even, but 200 pounds. There's some size and some beef if these guys can get blocks downfield.
Some size, beef, and like you said, great effort by Chance Allen. Most wide receivers, they're prima donnas. They just want to catch the ball, score touchdowns. But to see Chance Allen 20 yards down the field blocking for his running quarterback, it just goes to show the culture of this entire team.
Omar Tebow, senior defensive tackle, was the man injured before that timeout from Lamar. So back to action. Mulbacar running through a couple of different Lamar tacklers before he finally is dropped by Cheston Brooks. That's a good look right there.
I'll take it.
The gain of 3 for Carr in that 1st and 10 play.
And you mentioned the true freshman, the experience he's gaining from playing and carrying the ball so many times in this game is definitely going to be added and needed later on in the season.
You consider last week against Oklahoma, nobody other than Catalon or Ward carried the football. There's Carr, legs churning forward, should have the first down as he's inside the 33.
And this is big for Mulbacar because, like we mentioned, last year at this time, he's playing against a bunch of 15, 16, 17-year-olds, and now he's playing against some grown men. So this is going to give him the confidence when he needs to play against bigger competition that he's done it and he can get it done.
8th play of the drive here. Again, no Duke Catalon, no Greg Ward Jr. today. That ball is too far out in front of Chance Allen. Good coverage from Rodney Randall again. He's been effective in that secondary for the Cardinals.
Right, nice coverage getting between the man and the ball, and he didn't do it in a situation where you're going to get the penalty, but he shielded him from being able to get to the ball. It was not a poorly thrown ball. It looks like it was overthrown, but it's because of the good coverage in the shield.
A lot of playing time for Kyle Postma, the Seven Lakes High School product here in the Houston area, the Katy area. Gets rid of that ball quickly. Locates Linell Bonner. It takes 2 men to push him out of bounds, escort him out at about the 21.
When we talk about the size and physicality of these receivers, Bonner, he's one of those other guys, 6 feet, 200 pounds, but just plays physical. See him after the catch. Look, you don't see the receivers trying to step out of bounds after they pick up the positive yards. They'll fight for those extra yards to get to the first down.
Lamar was offsides. Free play here. This ball's up for grabs and nearly picked by Langley, but Lamar, I believe, jumped off sides.
And it just goes to show that Kyle Postma is aware of what's going on. He understands that it was offsides by Lamar.
Offside. Number 35. Defense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Rick LeMay, referee. Let's see it again on the right side of the line from Lamar. First penalty of the game. When you go more than 4 hours and you've only had 1 penalty,
it's a little misleading, but I like where you're going.
It might be a little misleading.
I like where you're going.
Mobacar has a hold off the left side of the line, and he gets inside the 10, and that's where he is dropped by Kettleman.
Because of the angle that we're sitting at and where we're sitting, we saw that hole develop, but I don't believe that's where the play was designed to go. But once again, you talk about the vision and just the feel for where the space, where the sunlight, and he finds it at an early, for a true freshman, he plays with the vision of a senior.
Back to this pistol formation. Carr will carry again. Boy, he got chopped down hard after a couple of yards forward, and once again, it was Xavier Bethany. 8 tackles last week. He's probably had a half that many already today.
And it's apparent right now, Tom Herman and the coaching staff for University of Houston, they're working on plays. They're working on the run. They understand the importance of being able to establish a run. But it's like a 9-on-7 drill this entire game, the way they've been running the ball.
12th play of this drive. De'Aaron King in motion. He'll take the little pitch forward. He's got tremendous speed. He's got the corner. Does he have the pylon? No, he slipped shy of the end zone.
And that's what stopped him. Not a defensive player, the traction. He had the space to put his foot in the turf and get upfield, but because of the wet turf, he was not able to keep his traction, as you see there.
That's a 4-star recruit at a Manville High School. He'll probably be one of the quarterbacks next year with Kyle Allen playing receiver out of need this year. Mobacar will walk into the end zone for the 3rd Houston Cougars touchdown today.
Nice job that entire series, over 12 plays. You mentioned 12 plays. That may be the 14th play of that series. And the offensive line just punishing the front four of Lamar.
First career touchdown for Mobacar. This one was an easy one.
And I've been very impressed with the young man's vision. I've said it time and time again, hopefully not sounding like a broken record, but that entire drive, where the hole, sometimes the hole wasn't where it was designed, but there definitely was a hole there, and he was finding it. 91 yards on 13 plays, eating up 4 minutes and 36 seconds.
Extra point from Cummings is good. We'll step out with 7:33 to play before our halftime. A long drive capped by the Mobacar touchdown. It's 21-zip Cougs. Mobacar's first career touchdown has put Houston up 21-0 over Lamar. Get your game going Saturdays on the American Sports Network. Each week we'll bring you hard-hitting NCAA football matchups from your favorite conferences. Join ASN Saturdays all season long. Check your local listings at Live on ASN. See Coach Woodard from Lamar's 7th season. Lamar didn't even have football from 1987 until it returned in 2011. So they're still in this process of building this program.
No, they're still building the program, still letting recruits know that they exist, and they've done a nice job. You and I have had the pleasure of going out to Beaumont and calling games on campus, and they have a nice facility, and the program is definitely moving up.
Rough start schedule-wise this year. That football is loose. Did the Cougars cover it? Yes, they did. That ball was bouncing on the boundary forever, and finally, looked like Williams was there to land on top of it.
And once again, we talk about special teams and the emphasis the University of Houston puts on special teams. Last week against Oklahoma, huge special teams play, and right there, Williams never giving up on the ball. And the Lamar players, you wonder what they were thinking with the sense of urgency not going after that ball. Nice job by Williams, and it just goes to show how intense they are when it comes to special teams. They understand that there are truly three phases in a football game: offense, defense, special teams, and the University of Houston coaching staff taking special teams very serious.
Field of a recovery of a free kick by the kicking team is under review.
We've had weather issues today, and as this play is reviewed, let's check in again with our sideline reporter, Anki Obanta.
Thanks, Brett. Yeah, it's starting to have some rain down here. It's sprinkling, not anything too bad, but I have seen a couple players slip during some plays, so maybe it could have an impact later on in the game. We're not sure right now.
Yeah, I'm not even listening about rain or lightning. It's not even in my vocabulary, but it's a good point. I got AD and I got ND. We've seen some players, though, having a hard time with the traction.
No, you're right. Derek King, I believe, when he had a chance to get into the end zone, but once he put his foot into the turf.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. First down.
So it is a first down, University of Houston's ball. But what may surprise people who have not played, when it sprinkles, that makes the turf a little more slick than when you have that downpour. So just by having that sprinkle that AB is reporting, I'm expecting to see more guys.
Well, the Cougars have their recovery of that kickoff confirmed, so a 21-0 Houston lead, and not good news for Lamar. And Kyle Postma brings the Cougs back out on the field. You see Kevrin Justice this time as the running back. Cougars entering play this week ranked number 6, their highest ranking since 1990. Justice will carry. Bounced off the first wave of tacklers, but not the second and third. And Bethany right there with some help from Matt Johnson.
And we're seeing in this game why Xavier Bethany is considered a defensive leader, returning leading tackler, over 80 tackles last season. Just a true football player. Very good in the defensive backfield, defending the pass, but he also excels when it comes to run support.
Yeah, he's been around the football so much today for a Lamar defense. Maybe a little bit overwhelmed, at least early, with the Cougars up 21-0. Trey Haverty, the defensive coordinator from Lamar, had a great line this week. He said, "I'm excited to see who isn't scared going up against these Cougs." Bethany might be one of those guys very high on that list.
When you have these type of matchups, it tells you a lot about your players. Who's going to play 4 quarters? Who's going to play the fourth quarter with 1 minute left with the same intensity as they played with the opening kick? So regardless of what's going on, you do learn a lot about your players. Even with University of Houston dominating, they have 11 first downs to Lamar's 2. You still expect your players to continue to play with that passion.
Daniel Crosley into this game made that previous tackle, probably in there with the injury to Tebow. Postma flushed from the pocket. We've seen him make some plays with his feet. A little flip on the boundary, and the pass is complete to Stephen Dunbar, a man coming off a 7-catch, 125-yard gain against Oklahoma.
And even though this is a completion, Brett, I would say he's making a play with his feet. He's able to extend the play and complete the pass because of his athleticism.
Cougars were trying to go quickly, but timeout was called by Lamar, trying to slow down this tempo.
First timeout of the first half called by Lamar. This will be a 30-second timeout.
We talked about the Cougars being ranked number 6 in the AP poll, so heady times here in Cougar land, but they have some company. You talk about an opening week for the state of Texas. There was a lot of representing going on.
Yes, you have 5 Texas colleges in the top 25, and if you ask me, I'm a little biased since I played my high school ball in San Antonio College at Rice. That's how it should be. The best recruits come out of Texas, so the colleges should always be ranked in the top 25, and kudos to Houston to be the leader in Texas when it comes to college football. Right now, I'll tell you what, though, there's 4 other schools that say when the season's over, we want to be the top team in Texas.
Huge win for Charlie Strong on Sunday, and Major Applewhite met with us on Friday, and he said, what a weekend. I was able to beat OU. You know, those former Longhorns, they'd love to beat the Sooners. And then he watched his former team, the Longhorns, get a win, and certainly this state off to a tremendous beginning.
It was exciting, and it was exciting for people that support college football in Texas. And you know what you're noticing, what I'm noticing, Brett, a lot of the talent that typically leaves Texas, they're starting to stay in, and it's starting to pay off with the rankings and the big wins for the Texas colleges.
Postma able to locate Tyler McCloskey. Scored a touchdown last week, and he was tripped up by Randall at around the 6.
And when I talk about recruiting, and you talk about McCloskey, who also had a nice game last week, Houston area recruit. UMH has been doing a nice job recruiting players, not just from the state, but from Houston and surrounding areas.
Part of this H-Town takeover, if you're watching from outside of Houston, they've tried to put the gates around this city. Kevrin Justice could not score. Cougs with tempo. They'll try Justice again, running into a lot of white shirts. Is he in or a little bit short? Looks like he was down before he got to that goal line. It'll be 3rd and goal.
Looks like a Lamar player. If he lost the helmet, he has to go out for at least one play, which is a new rule.
That's Larry Carroll, their big defensive tackle. They'd like to have in there for a goal line stand.
You see him to the left of the screen, and if he lost his helmet, is at the very end of that play.
We've seen Postma a lot of times, instead of barking at instructions, clapping his hands. He'll do it again here. The give to Justice, and he's in the end zone for the 4th Houston touchdown.
And that drive and the previous drive, if I'm the running back scoring the touchdown, I'm handing that football to one of the offensive linemen. But what you like to see on these drives is just young running backs getting a chance to play. Justice is a freshman. We talked about Carr, who's also a freshman. So young guys getting experience running the ball. On that drive, 18 yards, 7 plays. And even though they had great field position, they were still able to eat up 2 minutes and 31 seconds on that short drive.
Postma stays on to hold for Ty Cummings, the South Lake Carroll Dragon. He makes it 28-0. We talked about the intensity and the conviction that comes with this young coach, Tom Herman. After the win last Saturday against Oklahoma, he said, we were prepared to win, we expected to win, we trained to win, and it wasn't about making a statement. Having said that, ND, you live in Houston. You know there's Big 12 expansion topics, and the Houston Cougars want to be forefront in that discussion, and a win like that doesn't hurt.
No, it doesn't hurt, and it's definitely something that should be considered. And it's not just because they had the big win last week. It's not because they beat number 9 Florida State the year before in the bowl game. It's because the commitment that they put in with their athletics and their football program. They have this nice new stadium. The fans are coming out. We see all the fans who waited 3.5 hours just to watch this game. So you see coach in the locker room talking to the guys with the Texas flag. They should definitely – the question is, does the Big 12 deserve University of Houston right now?
Funny part was, a couple of years ago, the question was, were the Cougars good enough?
Right.
Now the question is, with some of those outlying schools, are they too good? Are they too much of a challenge? Especially when it comes to their ability to recruit 4- and 5-star recruits.
And like I said, and it's tough. People think, oh, you're University of Houston, you're in Houston, you have so much talent. But when you're 17, 18, and you're a talented player, something that you have to recruit against is the need or the want to actually want to go out of state, to want to go out of town. Sometimes Houston might be too close to the talent. I know many guys, when we were going through the recruiting process, they said, you know what, I just want to get away. I want to get away and see a different part of the country.
This time, Lamar able to field that return and have good field position. See interviews with your favorite players and coaches. Hear from our expert analysis on football's trending topics. Football Showcase all week long on the American Sports Network. Check your local listings. Personal foul penalty on the Cougars after a 23-yard return.
The penalty will be half the distance to the goal, 1st down.
Marked off rather against Lamar. So Jordan Jones whistled for the penalty, and it'll back up Lamar. So field position, ND, has not been their friend.
No, it's been great for University of Houston and very poor for Lamar. And one thing Lamar needs to realize, Houston, that they don't need any help. You know, Lamar does not need to shoot themselves in the foot with penalties or bad turnovers. They need to be moving forward with every single play.
This was a Lamar team that led 14-3 over a ranked Coastal Carolina team. They're ranked in FCS, even though they're making that transition to FBS. But then they were outscored 25-0 in the 3rd quarter. It has been all Cougars today. Andrew Allen is in the game. He's had a couple of series where he has been the quarterback. He'll keep for maybe a gain of 1. Stephen Taylor there to wrap him up. And Taylor's a name we call several times every time you do a Houston Cougar game, always around the football. Going to try and get Harrington involved in the receiving game. Took a pop and he was knocked out of bounds right around the 20. Khalil Williams got him for the Cougs.
And I like that play call. When you're playing against an opponent that's ranked number 6 in the country and your best player is a running back, do everything you can to get him the ball in space, whether it's handing it off, whether it's pitching it, whether you throw that little running back, shallow route. You just have to get Kad Harrington in open space and let him do his thing.
See Andrew Allen out of Texas City, another Houston area product. There's Harrington fighting for the first down, and he might have it by a half a yard.
It looks like he did pick up the first down, so showing athleticism in the open field, and even though he has small stature, he does show power, why he's able to push that pile to get the first down.
And he doesn't resist any hits. He's not afraid to lower his shoulder.
No, he someone forgot to tell him he's about 5'7", 180.
With exactly one scholarship off.
How many schools are kicking themselves right now?
Plenty. Empty backfield for Allen, and that can't be an encouraging sign. He's going to try and run out of some trouble. Dive away from the defender, Zach Vaughn.
And a decent pickup on first down when the play breaks down, and Allen's able to pick up about 3 or 4 yards, and now they're in the second and manageable position.
A lot of running plays, though, since we resumed after that 3.5 hour plus lightning delay. So the clock has been running. Not a lot of time left here in the second quarter for Lamar, trying to find some positives before a very short halftime. And it's Allen again. Tackled in space by Garrett Davis, the sophomore safety.
When you talk about Davis, you're talking about speed and nice angle, because Allen is a very quick, athletic quarterback, and typically against most opponents, he's able to get that corner and get up the field. But Davis just too fast and took a nice angle, so he wasn't able to pick up the extra positive yards. He even faked out the cameraman on that.
He did. By the way, Darian Randall in now as the tailback. Harrington out for the time being on 3rd and 5. Randall was going to get the carry, but the play blown dead first.
False start. Number 63, offense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Connor Ward, the left guard from Bryan, Texas, and that will not help the cause.
No, that's definitely a shame for Lamar, because you're in a position where, again, 3rd and medium, 3rd and short, if you want to call it that. Now you're in a passing down. Doesn't mean they're going to pass it, no, but 3rd and long, University of Houston is just daring them to run the ball.
See if Martell Hawthorne might be one of those involved. Number 80 at the bottom of your screen.
Of the first half,
like a
called by Lamar.
Was called by Lamar, their second of the second half. Down 28-0. It was 7-0 late first quarter when the lightning delay hit at 11:36 in the morning. One consistent, though, today when we've been out there on the field is this Houston defense and their aggressiveness.
Yeah, and I don't care who the running back is, how great he is. When you have defensive players playing on the other side of the line of scrimmage, it is tough to get anything going. The entire defense for University of Houston, they've been pursuing to the ball with passion every single play.
Whether it was P. Ryan for Oklahoma last week, Dalvin Cook for Florida State in the Peach Bowl, ask that duo how much success they had against this Houston defense.
And I mentioned it earlier. One thing that what I love about Houston and their defense, when they get to the ball carrier, they get there with bad intentions. They're not just saying, well, I'm going to wrap them up and bring them to the ground. No, they get there with some bad intentions, and you see it.
Lamar 2 of 7 on 3rd downs, a 3rd and long here for Andrew Allen. Pocket holds just long enough for Allen to try and make a play, and he completes a pass on the boundary to Zay Giles for a first down.
And as a quarterback with some athleticism, when plays break down, this is what's dangerous about them. They buy more time with their feet. This is a nice play as the rush is coming up the middle. He's able to break containment and buy himself another second or two to get his receiver open and make the completion.
Giles was one of those guys we heard about this week that needs to make some plays in the passing game. That time a 13-yard reception to move the sticks. Allen facing some pressure. Just fires one towards the boundary. Official checking to see if he was outside the tackle box, being pressured by Stephen Taylor. And he'll drop the flag at the spot.
Intentional grounding, number 2 of the offense. Ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. The down will count. 3rd down.
And he's still trying to lawyer his way out of it, but it's not going to work. And you understand what he was attempting to do, not take the sack, but not throw the ball too close to a defender and have an interception. But he didn't throw it close enough to someone on his team.
Coach Woodard got quite the reaction from one of his assistants there on the sideline. But now it's 3rd and 10, so 3rd and long again. And the term that was used is this Cougar defense, when they get you in 3rd and long, it's like blood in the water. They're going to feast off you. See if Andrew Allen can make another play. Darian Randall has just nowhere to go, running into all kinds of red shirts.
And as Lamar takes a conservative route, the University of Houston defensive line, they just continue to get upfield. And though they're getting upfield, they're playing sound defense where they're not creating rushing lanes by getting too far upfield.
Cameron Malveaux there on the stop.
1-4-2.
So another timeout on the field. Check out the first part of our Field the Question campaign on Twitter at Live on ASN. Great to have you with us on the American Sports Network. Brett Dolan, Andy Kalu from TDECU Stadium in Houston. Crowd somewhat subdued after the rain, the light rain, and the lightning delay.
You know what, you bring that up, somewhat subdued, after 3 hours, 36 minutes. But I credit the team, I credit Lamar and the University of Houston players, because intensity-wise, it seems like they just picked up right where they left off. They didn't have to spend too many plays or a series or 2 series to get back in. I actually appreciate what they did.
Andy, the challenge for Lamar is going to be the fact that with only a 5-minute halftime, there's not going to be a lot of time for any discussions on any adjustments they want to make after another quarter plus of football.
Great point, Brett. It's not about getting your body ready, getting the rest. Lamar needs that time to go through the X and O's, get on the whiteboard, try to make the adjustments, and they're not going to have the time to do that.
3rd and 26, not an ideal down. The Cougars putting some pressure on, and the pass complete on the boundary to Thompson, but he's even shy of the initial line of scrimmage, even though he picked up 11.
And unless you have some Shane Leckler type punt, University of Houston is going to have another series where they start off with good field position.
Juan Caranco, been a busy man, out to punt again. Dunbar retreating inside his 25. Low, short kick, and Dunbar. No fair catch. That football kick loose. Dunbar looks like he's on top of it at the 31 after a 35-yard punt. No fair catch here, Andy. Dunbar got tired of these 30-some-yard punts. He was hoping to run up and make a play.
A little risky, and that's one thing about these Cougars. They're all playmakers, and they want a chance to make a play. But you have to be a little more conservative on that. You see the ball popped out, but his teammate being around the ball.
Yeah, receiver was down. That was clear, even though that football kicked loose. What have you seen from Kyle Postma getting this start today? And he probably realized there was a possibility he was going to play for Ward Jr., but didn't know for sure until this morning.
I see poise and I see more athleticism than I expected. When you see him 6'3", 210 pounds, you think pocket passer, but he's really surprised me with his athleticism and his speed and poise. The last time he started for University of Houston, they didn't win. He wants to get a chance to get that victory under his belt as a starter.
It's a road game late in the year at UConn. The Cougars' lone blemish on their unbelievable season. That football's knocked loose. They'll call it incomplete, and a hard hit from Brendan Langley.
And that's what I like about Lamar. Like I said, we've covered them in the past, and if they get down, they don't ever give up. They continue to take each play one game at a time, and Langley right there delivering the big blow, separating the receiver from the ball. That's what he coached us to do.
Linell Bonner took that hit. Minute 24 to play before the half. Postma's taking a couple of deep shots. Chance Allen had the step. Chaston Brooks, a linebacker, was there on coverage. Pass was too tall for Chance Allen.
Overthrown by about 12 inches, and Chance Allen looks like he had a chance to get to that ball. And it looks like it was a nice ball by Kyle Postma, but like we said, about 12 inches too far down the field.
Another local product who started his career at Oregon before transferring back to his hometown and play for the Houston Cougars. 3rd and 10. 5 receivers in the formation. Postma over the middle. He's going to have the first down. Put one's in the hands of Linell Bonner, and that's a 13-yard gain.
Now, it's obvious because of the time that's left before half. They're definitely going empty and all passing downs right now, not even showing the hint of a chance to run the ball.
Boy, McCloskey wide open down the middle of the field. Passes underneath instead to Stephen Dunbar Jr. And the Cougars will have to call a timeout, stop the clock with 50 seconds to play in the half.
And right now, you're getting a 2-minute drill work for the players, but not just for the players. How many times do you watch a game, do we watch games, and we leave ourselves scratching our head wondering what the coach is thinking during the 2-minute drill? This is also good practice for the coaches and understanding the timing and the play calls that they're going to do down the line when they're in this situation in the future.
I think it's fun for Postma because he gets to put it in the air. Yeah. Cougars have had so much success running the football. There's really no need to get daring, but Postma able to air it out. And here's a kid who came to Houston. He was a walk-on. He redshirted. He went back to junior college football at Trinity Valley. Then came back to Houston. He was a wide receiver for a handful of games last year before he went to the backup quarterback position once Greg Ward became the starter. So it has been a wild ride for him.
And now he's starting for the number 16 ranked in the
That's right. He's 9 of 16 through the air, 87 yards. All 4 of the Cougars' touchdowns have come on the ground, including one from Postma. Looking deep again, down the seam, out of the reach of Bonner. That was a tight window to try and squeeze that one in there.
Tight window and short arms on that one. That was one where you just wonder if he was able to catch it if he would have laid out for it.
Take another look.
Yeah, see, as you see, he did not extend his arms all the way, but it's easy for me to say in the safety of this booth and not a 200-pound DB trying to lay me out.
Cougars 7 of 10 on 3rd downs. They had so much success last week. A lot of back shoulder throws from Ward Jr. to Dunbar and company on 3rd downs and such. See if they can do it here. Postma feeling the pressure. That pass wasn't even close. Rodney Randall from Lamar was closer than the receiver. It's 4th down.
When you see a pass that's that far off the mark, you wonder if there was a little mental breakdown from either the receiver or the quarterback, but they definitely were not on the same page with the route running on that play.
It's our first look at Dane Roy, the 27-year-old Australian punter. First football game he was ever part of was last week at NRG Stadium against Oklahoma.
And I'll say it again, and now he's starting for the number 16 ranked in the country.
Cougars looked like they had all kinds of movement. Roy trying to angle one towards the sideline, and it was fumbled out of bounds, but we'll check out the marker. 34 seconds again remaining here in our second quarter. Don't make your trip to the refrigerator too quick at halftime. Remember, just a 5-minute halftime. 32-yard punt from Roy.
5 minutes, you wonder if it's going to be like Pee Wee football where they just gather in the end zone and the coach goes over the X's and O's outside, because by the time they walk to the locker room, go to the restroom, it's time to come back out. So I won't be surprised if you see either Coach Woodard or Coach Herman making adjustments in the end zone.
I think you're onto something, and since it's cooled off about 20 degrees, mid-70s, not too hot at all today after the light sprinkles in this front. Very slowly move through. A lot of discussion on this penalty now. We'll see what our referee Rick LeMay has to say.
Offside, defense.
Yes.
The 5-yard penalty will be added to where the play ended. First down.
I think there were about 4 guys offside, but let's take another look. At least 2.
So it was on the defense. During live speed, I actually thought it was the University of Houston, but they were just reacting to the defense moving first.
A lot of movement.
From the previous spot, replay 4th down.
So a replay 4th down.
So this will give a chance for University of Houston to even back up Lamar further. And again, we talked about it for Lamar, and we're not talking about winning the game now, but when you play against a team that's dominant physically, you don't want to give them anything extra. You don't want to give them these penalties.
Especially because you could take the punting unit off and go for it on 4th and 2. Postma's going to snap it after all. Nice hands reception by Chance Allen, bringing that ball back into his body and picking up the 1st down.
And that just goes back to what Tom Herman's saying. You're winning 28-0, it's 4th down. Because of a penalty, you have a chance. He doesn't punt it. He's not trying to be nice. He does not take his foot off the jugular.
Clock winding. Postma dialing one up towards the boundary, nearly a catch. Incomplete. Allen was out of bounds. Not sure if he caught it cleanly anyhow, but 13 seconds remain of the half.
Doesn't count, but I'll tell you what does count: the effort. When they watch this on film and you see Allen go out there with one mitt and get it, but only problem, he's on the white where he needs to be on the green.
He's about 6 yards out of bounds, but great effort. See if Postma takes a deep shot. I think Lamar, sensing that they're going to use their last timeout.
Third and final timeout of the half, called by Lamar. 32nd timeout.
This is the case, ND, where Ray Woodard and his team, they really do not want to see a long touchdown for the 5th Houston score when they could have had the football back before that penalty.
And University of Houston doing a nice job taking advantage of the penalty and just staying very aggressive. It would have been easy for them to say, you know what, we'll just punt the ball again or we won't take the penalty, but they see a chance for themselves to get more points on the board.
Postma's getting an education here today with a lot of playing time.
And you never know, with the style play of Greg Ward Jr. and any quarterback that doesn't mind running the ball, there's obviously more of a chance of that guy missing time due to injury. So the experience that Kyle Postma is getting today may be valuable later on in the season.
Indeed, that's a great point. And it may not be just missing a game. He may take a hard shot where he has to come off for a couple of plays. And you've got to come in. It's 3rd down, and you've got to be game ready. Houston has run 50 plays here in the first half. They ran 20 more than Oklahoma last week. Postma trying to set up another deep ball, and that one's going to be picked. Intercepted by Bethany. And Bethany hit hard by Postma. Postma got a little revenge after the pick from Xavier Bethany. He had 2 last season, gets number 1.
We talked about Xavier Bethany. We talked about his run support, and he's also pretty good in coverage. And you see here why he's the leader of this defense. He's a ball hawk. He goes after the ball. A lot of passes broken up in the games that we covered in the past.
Please set 8 minutes on the game clock and start it on my signal. 8 minutes, please.
And Postma right there, that's called a frustration hit. He was frustrated with himself, and he took it out on the man who intercepted his ball.
We were told incorrectly. It is going to be an 8-minute halftime that's going to start here in just a couple of seconds. Cougars will just stay on the field at the half. They lead the Lamar Cardinals in kind of a crazy game and a wild day at Houston. 28-0 U of H.
We are America.
It's a 28-0 Houston Cougars lead over the Lamar Cardinals at the half. A strange day, a strange game, a 3.5-hour lightning delay late in the first quarter. But ND, the Houston Cougars showing no ill effects afterwards, put the pedal to the metal for 3 more touchdowns once we resume play.
No ill effects. You would think they would be overlooking the opponent because they have a huge conference game in less than 5 days. Then you have a 3.5-hour delay. But when they come out, they came out just as intense as they did early on in the game.
And able to run the football today with great success, even without Duke Catalan, getting some young guys who haven't carried the football at all in their collegiate careers not only in the game, but in the end zone.
No, Justice, Carr, like you mentioned, just so many young guys carrying the ball. And I credit the offensive line. When you have true freshmen, guys that were playing high school ball less than a year ago, picking up big yards, scoring touchdowns, you have to credit the big hogs up front as well.
Let's take a look at our halftime highlights. Again, the Cougars with a 28-0 lead over the Lamar Cardinals. And it was Kyle Postma with an explosive play to start the scoring.
Right, we talk about the running backs, but actually the quarterback can run the ball as well. He's looking for the pass, is not there. He uses his legs, his athleticism with that awesome spin to pick up the big yards.
This is Kevrin Justice, able to rumble down inside the 5-yard line, and then he would go up, over, and finally land in the end zone.
Showing that vertical there, and right here, the line makes it so easy as they have those gaping holes. Even myself could run through it. So, again, credit the big guys up front.
Here's your halftime stats, and obviously the total yardage heavily in favor of Houston, 321-56. Just 4 first downs for Lamar. And once again, the Cougars having great success on third down.
Having great success on third down, and we mentioned running the ball. And with the success that the running backs are having running the ball, Kyle Postma is leading everyone on the team with 87 rush yards on 5 attempts. So pretty impressive output by the backup quarterback who has a chance to start today.
Hey, you wouldn't know we had any weather issues today. In fact, we had very little rain at all, but just some lightning that kind of hung over the stadium to continue to push back. How many times do you think the start time got pushed back today, the resumption time?
At least it does. And so, when you talk about 3.5 hours, it definitely dozen times we heard them say that the start time is going to be later than what we first expected.
How's this for a halftime locker room? There it is. You predicted it.
I was joking, and they actually did it. So when you only have 8 minutes and you don't have the 15 minutes, why waste any time walking to the locker room?
Now, it's a little bit easier for the Houston Cougars to joke about this because they have the depth and probably some guys they wanted to get some valuable playing experience. For Lamar, next week they have to face Sam Houston State, a team they defeated last year, but another team highly ranked in FCS football. So the last thing they want to do is get anybody hurt, and you worry about the amount of players they have available to kind of go toe-to-toe with these Houston Cougars as we get deeper into this game.
No, as we get deeper in the game and deeper into the season, when you look at Lamar, first 3 games, all ranked opponents, whether it's FCS or FBS, so they definitely have a very tough schedule up front on the front end. So you don't think about it as coaches, you don't think about it as players, but they definitely want to leave this game unscathed without any injured players. But you also mentioned that it may be easier for University of Houston. We still have to remind ourselves on Wednesday they're getting on a plane to go fly out and play a conference foe that is very formidable.
Let's check in with the third member of our crew, Ankil Bhakta.
Thank you, Brett. I'm standing here across from the Lamar headline, actually. Coach Woodard from Lamar, he has a doctorate in educational leadership. Now, when we asked him why he wanted to pursue that, he said, for many reasons, it not only helps him relate to his players and the struggles they go to while being in class, having to take exams, practicing on the field, but it also helps him coach his players to a different level. He understands them, and for Coach Woodard, that's what it's all about, is understanding what his players go through on a daily basis to help them improve when they're playing in the game.
Brett, do you think they call him coach or doc?
I'm going to go with coach.
Yeah, they better. They might be doing gassers, but that is pretty impressive to go back and get his doctorate.
He had some great lines in our conference call. He wanted to know if we could take 5-minute television timeouts in order to slow down this Cougar offensive train, or whether a coach could pull a muscle and get an injury timeout. I guess be careful what you ask for with the delay we had earlier today. But for this Lamar team, 14 returning starters, picked 4th preseason in the Southland Conference. They just like to survive this first 3 weeks.
During our conference calls, one of my favorite lines came from defensive coordinator Trey Haverty of Lamar football when I asked him, hey, besides Greg Worth Jr., because I knew that was the easy answer, who else jumps out at you when you watched a film on University of Houston? And he said the other 10, the other 10 offensive players. So a lot of respect given to this University of Houston football team.
Now the problem is Lamar started with the football, so now the Cougars get it back. They just finished the second half, and on the kickoff, there was a slip. The ball still traveled to about the 5. There's Wilson. Remember what he did last week against Oklahoma? He took one back 100 plus, and he will only, I say only, get to the Lamar 40.
When Once again, in the open field, he shows his speed and he shows his vision and awareness, and he understands exactly where the blocks are coming and where he needs to go.
55 yards for Brandon Wilson. Kind of a touchdown machine. He was hit hard on the boundary by Rodney Randall.
One thing I noticed about the University of Houston players, whether it's offense or defense on a turnover or special teams, they do not run out of bounds. You know, he took that big hit. Williams took that big hit right then at the end of that run. And there was a time or thought that, you know what, he could have just stepped outside. But instead of stepping outside, he just said he was going to take the extra hit. So, you know, credit Brandon Wilson for not going away from the contact.
Postma and Justice, the two in the Cougars' backfield. First play from scrimmage here in our third quarter. Kevrin Justice, and he does a great job keeping those legs churning and falling forward. Seemed like a simple play, but he picked up nearly 7.
Yeah, and also credit Alex Fontenot for continuing to block 5 yards down the field. And you talk about keeping those legs churning. He was blocking his man 5 yards down and had a pancake on that play.
Cougars on the march very early here in our third quarter. Postma's hands are going to hurt after smacking them together before every play, but Justice carries again to move the sticks for the U of H.
All those pains feel a little bit better after a victory, so if they can hold on and win this game, I'm sure he won't notice the pounding his hands are taking until tomorrow. But I was actually thinking the same thing because we could hear it all the way up here in the press box every time he claps.
2 claps before this play, and Justice off the left side of the line. Can't run out of the hands of Delshawn Rushing.
I had a chance to watch Delshawn Rushing as a high school football player. Again, another recruit out of the Houston area and just a dynamic athlete. I mean, this is a guy that played in the Bayou Bowl last year where you have the best players from Houston compete against each other. He stood out in that game, and I'm not surprised that he's making the plays he's making now as a true freshman for Lamar.
Freshman from Webster. Second and 9 for the Cougars, and Kyle Postma may be changing the play. There's that audible snap again. Justice will bounce this play outside and not able to get towards the sideline.
Wasn't able to get to where he was trying to get to, but he was still able to pick up the extra yards because in the A and the B gap, all he was able to see Lamar defenders. He did not want to just go into the pile, so he bounced out and picked up more yards than were actually there initially in that play.
Manasseh Miles on the stop for Lamar from his defensive end position. Another third down situation facing Houston. Empty backfield for Postma. Lot of room. Postma with that speed, and he's inside the 10, easily picking up the Houston first down.
And that is very frustrating for the defensive backs and the guys up front. When you're defending the receiver, you're not giving Postma anywhere to throw the ball, and he finds a sliver, just a little bit of a lane to run through, then he avoids one tackler and picks up the first down. It is very tough and deflating as a defensive player.
14-yard pickup for Postma. This is the very first drive of our second half. Justice almost being pulled forward by his own lineman. Alex Fontenot was trying to haul him towards the goal line.
A lot of fight on this Lamar defense. They continue to give you everything that they have. Even though they're being dominated at the line of scrimmage, there's no quit in this Lamar defense.
With the time of possession really continuing to click in Houston's favor. Postma has carried for more than 100 yards on the ground today. There's a few more, and there's another Cougar touchdown.
And good for Kyle Postma. You talked about it, playing in the KD area out of high school, came to University of Houston, went to JUCO, came back, and for him to have the success he's having today and showing people the talent that he has, the running ability, the passing ability. I know this is a great, great feeling for him to be able to put his talents on display.
He's got a fan as well, the Postman, they say. 7-play, 40-yard drive capped by the Postma touchdown. Cummings trying to make this a 35-0 U of H lead, and he'll pound one right through the pipes. Taking another look, one more look at the touchdown from Postma. Easy, walked into the end zone. Smiles for the Cougars, 35-0.
When you have credit card debt.
Tom Herman's Houston Cougars with a 35-0 lead over Lamar. 11:34 to play in our third quarter from TDECU Stadium. Lamar to get the football back for the first time here in the second half. Ty Cummings, the Lou Groza Star of the Week. After 4 field goals against Oklahoma with a kick that'll be taken from the 5 by Rodney Randall. Went flying across the 20 and tackled forward to about the 28. 22-yard kickoff return. Shasta has to do some push-ups after this drive, really engineered on the ground by Postma.
Yes, the ground attack has been working all day for University of Houston, not just the running backs. Like you mentioned, Postma picking up many yards and touchdowns with his legs as well. Whether it's designed plays or when passing plays break down.
Player down for Lamar.
Looks like it's Rodney Randall, the return.
Yeah, and that's a shame because this is a special young man for Lamar. Randall, first team All-Southland Conference as a kickoff returner. We have seen him be very active from his corner position. Last year, 3 interceptions. Just a sophomore, a hometown product from Beaumont. He's trying to get up, but he was competing for a few extra yards at the end of that kickoff return when he got dinged.
And like you mentioned, not only is he a very, very good cornerback, he's also a nice return man. So when you have a guy like that go down, it's like you're losing 2 positions in one.
That's true. See this at the very end. Hard to tell after a couple of replays.
You know, it's hard to tell, but when you have 2-3 guys weighing 200 pounds laying on you and hitting on you, you never know what part of the body may be injured.
I'm going to take your word for that. I know you've been involved in a lot more of those collisions than I have, and that's just fine with me.
But it's unfortunate, and you just mentioned it, trying to get out of this game with all your pieces. And Rodney Randall, as a freshman, made so much noise last year, made many big plays in the return game as a defender with the interception. So that would be a huge loss if this is a serious injury.
Andrew Allen back in a quarterback. Both he and Earth have played. Kad Harrington back in as the running back. He'll take a direct snap. Not sure if that was designed or not, but boy, it went backwards. There's Ed Oliver on the bottom of the pile, and let's watch him again.
And when you watch him, you can see exactly why he's such a force in there. He puts his head down and he goes through 2. That's called a double team, Brett. And he just splits the double team like another football player here in the city of Houston named J.J. Watt. And he's able to beat 2 guys to make the play in the backfield.
Indy, he has a 36-inch vertical jump, and he squats 605 pounds, and he's 18 years old.
And you know what? He's still growing. That's the amazing part about it.
Terrell Williams there on the tackle after the reception was made to Daggs. You know, back to Oliver. I love this, though. His thighs are so big that his waist is 40 inches, but he has to have size 44 pants just to deal with the thighs.
He's going to have to get a lot of custom-made suits, but I have a feeling he'll be able to afford them in a couple of years.
There you go. There's the waist and the thighs. How would you like to be tackled by Ed Oliver? No thanks. 3rd and 8. Here come the Cougs. And they get again at the quarterback. Tyus Bowser and Stephen Taylor meet at the QB.
And we talk a lot about Ed Oliver because 5-star recruit. He chose University of Houston over every and any other school in the country. But those front 7, those guys on the front 7 for University of Houston, they've been making plays all day. And not just today. They've been making plays since last year. So it's not just one guy on this defense that's making it happen.
So Karanko to punt again. Colin Wilder back, hoping for a chance to return rather than Dunbar. Wilder will play the carry. Young man from the Katy Tigers football program, covered up at the 40. Will step out. Cougars defense, ND, they have been everywhere today.
They've been everywhere and all over both quarterbacks, and you see it there, and you'll continue to see it.
Get in on the action and get a bit of ASN gear yourself. Just tweet a picture of you and your crew at the game, watching at home, or wherever you watch your favorite team. And each week, one winner at the FBS and one at the FCS level will win an ASN prize for the best fan photo. Tweet us at #BackTalkContest. For complete rules, go to AmericanSportsNet.com/contest. Mulbacar on the carry for the Cougs.
Cougs been pretty successful this second half. The last 5 possessions, 4 touchdowns and 1 interception. Obviously, coaches are going to focus on that 1 interception because they always focus on the negative to get better, but they've been pretty productive this second half.
A little hesitation there from Carr. Almost tried to rip the football away from Postma. He'll lose a yard on the play. Kenneman on the stop, had 3 tackles last week against Coastal Carolina. He's from Simi Valley, California. He stands out amongst all these Texans in this intrastate rivalry. Third and 6, and there's 5 receivers. 3 on the far side for the Cougs. Postma going to De'Aaron King. There's potentially the future quarterback for the Cougs, but playing wide receiver, he hauls one in for 19 yards.
And pre-snap, there was some confusion on the Lamar defensive side of the ball. They could not get lined up, and you wonder if that's why there was such a gaping hole in the middle of the field on that pass play.
Well, De'Aaron King, one of those guys, along with Courtney Lark, they were on their way to TCU, and Tom Herman won them over. Part of this H-Town takeover. Mulbacar has nowhere to go, covered up quickly by the defensive front from Lamar, including Jeffries. Remember, Omar Tebow went out with an injury early for the Cardinals defensive line.
And again, we brought this up, but credit the coaching staff, De'Aaron King, Manville, that's the Houston area, and you understand why certain guys just want to leave, get away from home, but not too far from home. So for Coach Herman to talk those guys into staying in town is pretty impressive.
And of course, at least for the time being, playing in a non-5 Power 5 program rather than going to the Big 12, but who knows what's in store in the near future for this Houston Cougar football program and university. Third and short. King wrapped up and dropped by Jeffrey. So James Jeffrey has made a couple of plays. Just a freshman from the Houston area. He'll bring up 4th and 1. They'll try it again. And this time, De'Aaron King will have the first down.
4th and 1, and when you have that type of speed and you have that upbeat tempo and the defense doesn't really have a chance to get set, just a nice play on 4th and 1, keeping it on the ground and getting your quick speedsters to get around the corner to pick up the first down.
So number 4, a 4-star recruit playing for Coach Kirk Martin at Manville, gets the first down. Be curious to see, Andy, if he gets a few snaps at quarterback before this game is over, as Carr carries again for a short gain.
Not be surprised if you do get a chance to see that, considering he is supposed to be the future at that position. And when your team is up by 35 points, why not give him a shot at that if he's been practicing for it?
He has this week. Mike Hargis, the linebacker from Austin, on the stop after a gain of 2. Little misdirection. A lot of running room for Carr, and he was tripped up before he could find the end zone. Tanner Kenneman there on the stop, but there is a marker down in the Cougars' backfield, however.
Yeah, and the ref is saying, come on back.
Number 72, offense. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Second down.
Mason Denley, sophomore left guard
And you see jersey. That's why they called it. You see number 72. The refs are able to see the jersey pulled, and he was able to get the hands on the outside. Defensive players will tell you that offensive linemen hold on every single play, but they only call it when they hold them on the outside of the shoulder pads or they extend the hole and you can see the jersey, and you were able to see both of that on that one.
That was a pretty easy call, correct.
Yes.
2nd and 18. Quick pass play to Courtney Lark. There's the true freshman from Bel Air. Boy, had a chance to do a high school game last year from Courtney Lark. He made a highlight play late in the contest, showing off his skills, but he's able to get some reps here this afternoon. We go inside, 5 minutes to play in our third quarter. The game that has featured a 3-hour, 36-minute lightning delay in the first quarter. Postma with the fade. Courtney Lark running underneath it. And he couldn't make the play. That was outstanding coverage. Well, maybe I spoke too soon. There's a marker down. Brendan Langley thought he had the knockaway. He might get a PI instead.
I'll tell you what, if they call pass interference on this, that is very tough to defend. When you have a deep route and as a defender, you're chasing the receiver, the momentum takes you into the receiver during those underthrown balls. That's very tough to defend as a cornerback.
Rick LeMay, our referee.
Pass interference, number 21, defense. The 15-yard penalty will be enforced from the previous spot. First down.
I'm with you, Andy. I'm going to see this again.
Yeah, and as you watch Brendan Langley, he's doing everything he can to catch up to the receiver. The ball's underthrown, and he has no idea where the ball is, and I know that's not an excuse, but when the receiver has to stop his stride to come back to the ball and the defenders go in the opposite direction and they run into each other, you just ask yourself, what is a cornerback, what can a cornerback do in that situation? And I know the easy answer, emphasis on easy answer, oh, he's supposed to turn his head around and play the ball. Well, you do that when you're chasing someone who's 4-4 down the sideline.
Markoff puts the Cougars inside the 10-yard line with a 1st and goal. Carr will bury his shoulder and go inside the 5-yard line. He ran into Devin Jernigan.
There were just some big hits today, Brett. I don't know if the people listening can hear, but we're up here on the 4th, 5th row, and we can hear all the hits that are being delivered on the field. Just a physical game.
We can hear it all. You're right from our vantage point. Carr trapped immediately. Good defensive play by Kobe Kuran. And in Nederland, next play will be the 12th now at the drive as the Cougars try and go quickly on 3rd and goal. Postma hasn't had a throwing touchdown yet. And Brooker, the tight end who backs up McCloskey, got it down to the 1.
Big tight end. He's only listed at 240, but just looks bigger and more physical than that. You see him secure the ball, does a nice job keeping himself in bounds. And good job by the defenders getting there and keeping him off the pylon.
Another Lamar player down, and that might be Jernigan, who had 14 tackles, a career high last week. He's had a couple of big stops on this drive alone. We'll step out. 3:56 to play in our third quarter. Good news for Lamar. DeWan Jernigan is up on the sideline. You still see him pointing to the back of his neck, and he was down for quite some time. We'll take a look at the play and the hits here on Brooker. Got some friendly fire, looks like.
No, that's exactly what it looks like. Was very physical, trying to keep the big tight end out of the end zone. But one of his own teammates looks up, hit him in the back of the head, which was what may have injured his neck. Last week against Coastal Carolina, 14 tackles for DeWan Jernigan. Could be a good thing, could be a bad thing, because that means that you're getting to the second and third phase of the defense when your safeties are making that many tackles.
4th and goal for the Cougars after that injury timeout. Mulva Carr, even the third effort, not quite good enough. Credit the Lamar defense on denying the end zone. One of those there, William McFay.
And I guarantee the coaching staff for Lamar, they'll take this film, they'll take this drive and say, hey, look, we had a goal line stand against the University of Houston. When you're losing a game, with this type of margin, you still look for the good. You still look for the good and say, if we could do this consistently, then we could take our program, our team to the next level. I guarantee during film study on Monday, they'll review this drive to show what they can accomplish.
Now that's the second time Lamar's defense has held it right around the 2 or 3 yard line. Bethany, by the way, was on the bottom of that pile with his arms around the legs of Mulbacar. So Lamar, they've been losing this field possession and the time possession game. Keep the Cougars out of the end zone, but they will start from their 2. Near the student section for the U of H. Andrew Allen with the keeper, able to get some breathing room as he dives out across the 5 yard line.
And I like that play. I'm glad they didn't go with a traditional running play because of the push that the defensive line from U of H has been able to get all night. Get your athletic quarterback out in space and try to get the breathing room that you talked about.
So far for the Cardinals, 7 possessions, 7 punts. Randall falls forward at the 10. He needs to get to about the 12 to move the sticks. Darian Randall from Navasota, good football program.
You're starting to see some of the second and third string players for University of Houston come in on defense. Ed Oliver, the big time freshman that we've talked about, seems to be getting a rest during this drive.
Lamar had the big defensive stand. Now they like the first down. And Randall has nowhere to go. That's a swarm of red jerseys on top of him.
When you talk about getting to the next level, I talked about University of Houston 2 years going 8-5, which most programs will say, hey, that's pretty good. It wasn't good enough for this program, so they made a change. And you're starting to see why they're so successful. It's not just with the first team, but their second and third stringers. They go out there, and you don't see any drop-off in play. That's what separates the great programs from the good programs, when you have that depth at the second and third positions.
Been one of the more encouraging aspects to watch. Tom Herman has built this program. Another punt, the 8th of the day for Caranco. Colin Wilder will take it at the 46. And Wilder inside the 40. Tremendous field position for the Houston Cougars. DeAndre Jennings may have saved a touchdown after a 36-yard punt. 8-yard return for a Wilder.
Wilder, return man from Katy, Texas. And it's interesting when you hear Tom Herman talk about recruiting and some of his philosophies. And he wants those guys from the successful programs, the Manvilles, the North Shores, the Katys, because they bring their winning ways and their winning attitudes and their effort that you want to have at practice. They bring it. It's already been instilled in them with their high school coaches and high school programs. And it was nice to hear that, yes, they do focus on some of these top high school programs because they're going to fit right into the culture of University of Houston.
You're right. And can play immediately if needed. A lot of guys getting valuable experience today. Mulbacar will carry for a few. The Cougars will play at Texas State in a couple of weeks, but they will no longer schedule teams from FCS like Lamar going forward. Something they announced here within the last year. So this is one of those games that was on the schedule a year ago that maybe looked a little bit different than it does now, with the Cougars ranked 6th in the nation. Justice back in.
Justice, the ball
near the marker, maybe about a half a yard short.
Yeah, and I don't fault University of Houston. You know, you can't sit up there and say they're the only program that does that.
Right.
Texas A&M played Prairie View today. Across the board, you saw a bunch of power programs playing some of the smaller conferences out there.
Couldn't agree more, Indy, as the Cougars will pick up the first down. You know as well as I do, though, and you pointed this out early, no team is going to undergo the microscopic look at their schedule with the intensity the Cougars will, as more and more powerhouse programs start suffering their first losses of the season.
No, absolutely, and this is a team now, they have to win out to accomplish what they want to accomplish nationally.
Misdirection from Justice. First down carry, gets another 5 or 6 yards down to the Lamar 20.
And I talked about Texas A&M playing Prairie View, Alabama's playing Western Kentucky today. Mississippi's playing Wofford. Nichols almost beat University of Georgia, so Yeah, a lot of big-time programs. They play the smaller schools once or twice during the season.
Florida State playing Charleston Southern. They had 12 players suspended at Charleston Southern. So you talk about lack of depth going into Tallahassee. That should bring us to the end of our third quarter. 5 touchdowns on the board for the Houston Cougars. They're on the march again in the Cardinals' red zone. We'll see if they can punch it in when you come back. 3 quarters complete. Houston Cougars over the Lamar Cardinals, 35-0 from TDECU Stadium here in Houston, Texas.
If you are age 85.
Houston Cougars, number 6 team in the nation, their highest ranking since November of 1990. Leading Lamar 35-0 as we start the fourth quarter. 3rd and 3. And the give goes to Kevrin Justice. He'll have the first down as he's near the 15-yard line. Once again, the name of Bethany there to make the stop.
Much should be said about the offense for University of Houston. 309 rushing yards before that play. But here's what's more impressive for me. Lamar has only 10 rushing yards, and they have one of the best running backs that I've ever seen in Kad Harrington. And I know he plays in the Southland Conference, but I expect him to play at the next level. And for the University of Houston to hold him to only 10 yards says a lot about their defense.
Especially when 9 came on the first play of the game.
Yes, well said.
Justice carries again for the Cougars. They'll be content probably to keep the ball on the ground a lot here in the fourth quarter.
And this is a situation where you don't want to think about let's try not to get hurt, because typically that's when guys get hurt. But, yes, this is where the coaches on both sides of the sideline are saying, hey, let's run the ball, let's get the clock down as quickly as possible so we can get on to our next opponent.
Well, I got to believe that is a tough mindset to try and entertain or dismiss. Justice with a carry for a couple of yards, and we were hearing it even during this 3-hour 36-minute delay, and I don't know if the players were privy to it. There was even some possibility with this game possibly be canceled and not resume because of the length of time from when we started.
Whether they're privy to it or not, they knew. They thought about it after the first hour, then the second hour, then the third hour. You start to wonder, right, are we even going to play this game, or is it going to be completely canceled like LSU versus McNeese was last year?
That's right. Now, that was a night game. We had the benefit of an 11 a.m. start. De'Ara King, an underneath pass, but boy, he lost the size battle there to Larry Carroll. 310 pounds, tackling 170.
And they say wrap up. That's exactly what he did, and you see a nice picture of him there. When you wrap up, you're not getting out of that big man's grasp.
You just hope to survive that tackle.
Exactly. 6'3", 310, out at him another 20 or 30 pounds. Most football players that are over 300, they tend to say they're lighter than they actually are.
Ty Cummings missed one field goal try earlier. He'll be on to try one from 25 yards. 12 of 13 in his career. 12 of 14 in his career, so he's missed a pair today. Tom Herman hates field goals, not afraid to admit it. You know what he hates worse?
Missing field goals.
Yes, sir.
Big news from Beverly Hills.
12:27 remains in our game from TDECU Stadium here on the campus of the University of Houston. Andrew Allen listed as the backup quarterback's taking a lot of snaps today. Quick pass to Trenton Swinton. And is the ball out?
Yes,
it is.
He dropped it, never went to the ground, just dropped the ball. University of Houston pounces on it. And once again, the University of Houston gets great field position against Lamar.
Take another look.
And just a great job by the defender. When you're making the tackle and you continue to rip the ball out, that's a well-coached team. And you understand that Dylan Burden, who's the defensive back, we have 2 number 25s for University of Houston. He's getting there, and he's understanding the progression of a tackle. You secure the tackle, then if you can get your hand on the ball, you rip it out. Well done by Dylan Burden.
He wasn't going to give that one up easily. Took it off with him. This will be the 5th time the Cougars start with a football in Lamar territory. Great field position at the 23. We're so deep in the depth chart, we're going to the 4th and 5th running backs. Josh Burrell, redshirt freshman out of Missouri City, carries for the first time and gets 17 yards.
Start at Ridge Point High School in the Missouri City area, and the son of Leroy Burrell. And his brother's pretty fast for the University of Houston track team as well. A very talented family.
Nearing the end zone, is he in? A little bit shy. Mom's pretty good as well, right, as far as athletics
Yes,
go?
the entire family, very, very talented.
Talking about world-class sprinters. I would say Josh got the football body of the group. A shoestring tackle made by rushing.
And when I had a chance to watch him play, he was about 200 pounds. Now he's up to 247. Still has the quickness and explosiveness, so it's fun to watch these youngsters go from high school in the Houston area to starring for the University.
Well, you go home and mom and dad start hanging out those Olympic medals. Makes her a nice display. Can he get in the end zone here? Touchdown to Houston.
It is a family affair. His brother's a star track runner for University of Houston. His father's a coach on the track team. And now the young Burrell scoring his first collegiate touchdown.
And after the turnover, it takes just 4 plays and 1 minute, 8 seconds to punch it in. Burrell getting high fives from his teammates. Cummings trying to make this a 42-0 game, and he will do just that. Burrell got the touchdown, but it was the big run early that set it up.
It was a big run and the great block. And look, when you don't get touched until you're 6 yards down the line, that means the offensive line is doing a nice job.
We are America.
Burrell doing a pretty good job of hiding that smile. You know he's pumped up on the inside after scoring his first touchdown.
He's pumped up, and it says a lot about him when you saw how excited his teammates were for him. When he came to the sideline, about 15 guys came up and high-fived him. And when you see that, you know what type of teammate he is.
Touchdown made it 42-0 Houston. Cougars breaking out. All the stops today on the depth charts. Lamar content to take the touchback. Hey, tune into ASN Friday night as the URI Rams square off with the Ivy League's Harvard Crimson at 7 p.m. Eastern Time Friday night on the American Sports Network. Your team, your passion, your network.
How about the Ivy League adopting the no contact during the week? And this is the first year that all of the Ivy League schools said that they were not going to have contact drills during the week before their games. And I haven't had a chance to watch a game yet, but I am curious to see if it affects their play and if it affects the product that they put on the field.
Worried that it would take a couple of weeks to kind of get in game mode when you don't get that opportunity in practice to hit?
Right, as a player, you don't like hitting during practice, but you understand that it's one of those necessities.
Keegan Mitchell in the game. We're past the 3rd string, and we're down to like the 4th string for both of these teams right now. These guys not even anywhere near a depth chart at the beginning of this week.
I'm very surprised at Kad Harrington again. I understand that they're playing the number 6 ranked team in the country, but Kad Harrington, we witnessed this. I witnessed it in person. He rushed for 347 yards last year against Abilene Christian and less than 10 yards today.
Had a chance with even a below average game for him to get to 4,000 in his career. Mitchell carries again for Lamar.
And let me make a correction. He actually has 15 carries for 23 yards.
He had some tough sledding going up against this Cougars defense, but we talked about their success against P. Ryan of Oklahoma last week. Dalvin Cook of Florida State in the Peach Bowl, and there's Harrington, and he's going to have a big year. He's going to get to face Sam Houston State next week in the conference opener for the two schools.
And not only that, we mentioned this, they lost Reggie Beggleton, who's their all-time leader when it comes to receivers. And when the defenses that you're playing against, they don't have that threat down the field in Reggie Beggleton, it allows them to put 8 men in the box and focus on that run. So right now, Kad Harrington is a marked man.
Colin Wilder there on coverage of Kendrick King, and it'll be 4th down. So another punt from Juan Caranco. He may have more punts than Harrington does carries before this game is over. Wilder will stay on to return again. Wilder, part of a couple of state championship teams. 9th punt for Caranco. It's going to take a big Lamar bounce. Stay in bounds and go inside the 25 to the 24. We'll step out. Cougars lead the Cardinals 42-0.
Tired of being skinny or...
He's not seen any action today. The Texas transfer last week played for the first time in more than 1,000 days. Extremely impressive. Not sure if he's a little bit dinged or not, but I know the Cougars would love to have him healthy Thursday at Cincinnati.
No, absolutely. I call him the workhorse. Last week against Oklahoma, 22 carries, 88 yards, plus 4 catches for 29 yards and a touchdown. And like you mentioned, before that game, over 1,000 days without playing football. So I'm sure he's pretty frustrated for not without being able to play today. But for the fans of the University of Houston Cougars, they want to get that guy healthy.
And De'Ara King is in at quarterback. Here's a guy last year at Manville, threw for 43 touchdowns and 5 picks. And by the way, he rushed for another 8 touchdowns.
Well, you called it. You said that more than likely we'll get a chance to see him at quarterback. They say that he is the quarterback of the future after Greg Ward Jr. Finally leaves here.
There's one kind of hitch in that plan, so to speak, which was curious for me when King committed to Houston, wanted to be a Cougar as mobile car carries. Kyle Allen transferring this year from Texas A&M. There is a 5-star recruit who is going to be eligible next season once Greg Ward's eligibility is done.
And you know what? That's what happens when you have great programs. You have competition. You have 5 stars competing against 4 stars, 5 stars competing against 5 stars, and you can't shy away from the competition.
Tom Herman prides his team on having the toughest training camp in college football. Gave them T-shirts once they finished that said that they completed, they were able to successfully navigate the most intense camp. And Tom Herman says we trained for chaos. There was a day in practice where once they got done stretching, they slammed the football down and said, we're going.
Nice.
We're going to go.
And you know what that simulates? A turnover. You know, when you're in offense or defense and you get the turnover and you have to rush back out there, or you're the victim of a turnover and you have to rush back out there, that's the chaos that you really can't plan for, but you have to be ready for it.
King doing a lot of handing off. Kalik Kakuma at a League City. So King again made the transition to wide receiver when the Cougars had a need. Rashad Samples, an Oklahoma State transfer who's eligible, has been dealing with a concussion issue. But let's face it, I mean, Kyle Postma, who played today, has been a wide receiver, and Greg Ward started his career as a wide receiver here for the Cougars.
Seems to be the trend for the quarterbacks for University of Houston. Play a little bit of receiver, then go back to the quarterback position.
Right now, just very basic plays on 3rd and 3. The Cougars will not get the first down, and more than likely will punt for just the 2nd time today and give it back to Lamar.
And knowing Tom Herman the way we know him and the way he approaches the game, this isn't a throwaway series. Yes, he's working on running plays. Yes, he's working on getting the clock to wind down, but he's expecting to get these first downs. He's not happy with this.
Cameron Hampton down for an injury. We'll step out. 7:10 to play from the U of H. Cougar band still in full throat. Part of this H-Town takeover, the interest in students. They were packed into this facility earlier today before the lightning delay. And by the way, I mentioned the 2nd punt for Dane Roy, the 27-year-old Australian. Actually his first. The other one was nullified by a penalty. Well, he lets one fly, and the fair catch will be made for inside the 8. The ball's bobbled. It's in the end zone. That was a muff, so it should be a touchback. And is. is a touchback. That was a muff covered in the end zone on a 58-yard punt.
And it appeared he tried to side catch it. He had his elbows tucked in like they coach you up to do, but he didn't get completely in front of the football as it went off his side, which made for a difficult catch. And speaking of difficult, it's been tough to stop the running attack for University of Houston. Coming into the fourth quarter, they had 3 individuals rush for over 100 yards. Postma, the quarterback, 106 yards on only 7 carries. Kevrin Justice, 101 yards, and Carr, 101 going into the fourth quarter.
And 2 of those guys over 100 yards have never carried a football in a college game before.
And like I said, I know I sound like a broken record, but give credit to the trenches. The offensive linemen are opening up huge holes for all 3 of the runners.
Big men up front. You know, the one thing for Lamar and their inability to run, obviously facing a good Cougar defense, they're without Brett Treadway, was mono, an offensive lineman, maybe one of the best in the conference that could play at the next level, so that has not helped them today. Andrew Allen to throw on 2nd and 9, and his pass was out of the reach of Clayton Turner.
And you know it's very tough for Treadway not to be playing in this game. Like you mentioned, he was a preseason all-conference pick, preseason FCS All-American pick, and many people are saying he can't play at the next level. Well, when you go to these FCS schools, these Southland Conference schools, and you want to prove that you can play at the next level, you do it against competition like University of Houston. So you know it's very tough for him to have to sit back and watch this game and not compete.
Boy, that's no doubt. You want that tape against some of those big schools. Allen really fired that one. This time it was caught by Turner, but he's pushed back shy of the marker. Maybe a yard more needed to get a first down.
Yeah, Clayton Turner using all his height, catching that at the highest point. 6'4", 207-pound receiver out of Georgia, showing some nice ability on that play, but not enough to get the first down. And once again, the punter comes out for Lamar. Is this number 10 for him?
Yeah, he's in double figures. Yeah. Juan Caranco. Colin Wilder makes the fair catch at the 35. 36-yard punt. Next Saturday's football lineup on ASN kicks off with Middle Tennessee battling Bowling Green at noon Eastern time, followed by Florida International at UMass. And then it's Navy at Tulane in an American Conference matchup. That's next Saturday beginning at noon Eastern time on ASN. $42-0 Cougs here in the fourth quarter. A game that had a 3-hour, 36-minute lightning delay in the first quarter. An 8-minute halftime in which the teams did not even go into their locker rooms. And the game has primarily been played on the ground here in the second half with guys so deep on the depth chart that they don't even show up. That's Blake Hirsch, his first carry, another Katy kid.
A lot of Katy product on this University of Houston football team. Speaking of Katy, a powerhouse in Texas, they actually suffered a loss to the Woodlands last night. So big in the high school football ranks.
Sure
big
was.
upset.
Katy kids don't have to change their color scheme when they come to the U of H.
False start.
Your penalty.
Number 66, offense. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Jared Williams, offensive lineman from Cedar Hill, another one of the truly great high school football powerhouses in this state.
Yeah, it definitely helps your coaches and your recruiters when they don't have to travel outside of the state to do their recruiting. But then on the flip side, you're competing against so many great programs. The Texas Techs, TCU, Baylor's. Not even to mention the bigger UTs and Texas A&Ms. There are just so many programs and so many options for talented kids here in Texas.
Derek McLemore on the receiving end of a short pass from De'Aaron King. Clock will be inside 4 minutes before the Cougs snap again.
We talk about the A-Town takeover. It's been very fun to notice and watch so many of the area celebrities, the local celebrities coming to games, coming to practices. I see Trader Truth on the sideline for University of Houston. J.J. Watt was at the game tweeting about it last week. So many people are behind this program.
Well, King took quite a shot on the boundary from Kevin Bell.
And when you talk about toughness and culture and the way you do things, I'm convinced without hearing it directly from his mouth, Coach Herman is preaching that we don't step out of bounds, because I've seen play and time again where typically someone will just step out of bounds because they're not going to get the extra yards and they don't want the contact. But the University of Houston players, they don't avoid contact at all, even when they're that close to the sideline.
I think that's a great observation. We've seen it time and time again today. Cougars will stay on the field on 4th and 1. Let's see if King keeps it. Instead, he'll put it into the gut of Burrell, who had a touchdown earlier in this half. And he got enough to move the sticks. That's a Houston first down.
And the fans who are watching this on TV, they can't see it, but the security is lining up to make sure the fans don't rush the field that are here at the game. And I know the U of H is excited about the victory, all victories, but I don't think they're going to be hopping over the brick wall to rush the field.
24 first downs for the U of H to 4 for Lamar. King will keep. Able to race into Lamar territory. Nearly 8 on first down. Let's check in with AB.
Thank you, Brett. I'm standing here on the sidelines, and we've seen a lot of positives coming out from U of H today. They're moving the ball well without their star quarterback. They're running it well without Duke Catalan. And I'll tell you guys, there's just a lot of positive energy coming from this U of H team over the last couple of years. The Tom Herman era has brought something new. The fans are energized. The team is energized. The coaches are energized. And if they keep this going, we might see great things from this team, especially with their second big convincing win coming after this game against Lamar.
I think what came out of this game, Indy, is the fact a lot of guys got experience. It seems like they should be relatively injury-free. Resting Ward and Catalan today. There's another Cougar first down. Kukula on the carry. There's a couple of games that obviously jump out at you, and one we've mentioned again, Cincinnati. They won in West Lafayette, Purdue today, but then there's this team called Louisville late in the year that's going to come into town.
And like I mentioned, you know, watching them play, they were very impressive last night when they when they dominated Syracuse. So to know that they're on the roster, on the schedule left, and Cincinnati and Navy, and they lost to UConn last year. So there's still some opponents that can beat you if you don't take them seriously.
Right now, the Cougars are in that victory formation. Postma, in fact, comes back in. Maybe one more snap for the Cougar. This was a 28-0 game at the half. About to be a 42-0 shutout. Last time that Lamar was shut out, 2012, when they faced McNeese State. And Indy, your final thoughts on the Cougars going to 2-0 this afternoon and this evening?
You know, just dominance on the offensive side, the defensive side, over 500 yards total offense for the University of Houston. And when I talk about the dominance on the defensive side, they held Lamar to less than 80 yards total offense. So just dominance. This is what great teams do when they play lesser competition.
That'll do it today from Houston as the coaches meet at midfield. Tom Herman and Ray Woodard shake hands. Cougars go to 2-0, the 6th-ranked team in the nation. For Indy, Kalu, Ankil Bhakta, and our entire crew, I'm Brett Dolan saying so long from TDECU Stadium on the campus of the University of Houston. Once again, our final score, Houston 42 and Lamar nothing. For the latest news and special features on your teams, go to AmericanSportsNet.com. This has been a presentation of ASN, your teams, your passion, your network.
If your loved one received an IVC filter